Chapter 1063. The shallow cloud manor belongs to the territory of the glazed Dao court. If we fly from here, we can reach the Absolute Lightning Sacred Dao City in about 10 days. From Absolute Thunder Sacred Dao City, you can directly teleport to Wading Sacred Dao City, and then fly for 3 days from Wading Sacred Dao City to Shallow Cloud Villa. Qianqian estimated the speed of Ningcheng's airship before saying, "It won't take that many days." After Ningcheng spoke, he brought out the Starry Sky Wheel. The Starry Sky Wheel's speed was several times faster than the airship Ningcheng currently used. Just as Ningcheng said, it only took him and Qianqian 3 days to reach Absolute Thunder Sacred Dao City. From there, they took the teleportation array to Wuting Sacred Dao City. The Absolute Thunder Sacred Dao City was located at the edge of the glazed Dao court. It was similar to the Yuanyuan Sacred Dao City, and wasn't very lively. However, the Wuting Sage Dao City was a very important Sage Dao City for the Crystal Jewel Dao Pavilion. Not only were there many cultivators coming and going, there were also many experts living here. Big Brother Ning Wuting Sacred Dao City's city master Lu Fengzhen is very strong. Furthermore, Lu Fengzhen had participated in the massacre of the Tai primeval giant clan. If it weren't for Big Sister Shi, he would have killed Big Brother Pan Qian. After coming out of Wuting Sacred Dao City's teleportation array, Qianqian carefully sent a voice transmission to Ningcheng. Ningcheng understood Qianqian's meaning and gave her a reassuring look. "We'll leave this place immediately. We won't go to the city." Qianqian. Ningcheng and Qianqian hadn't even walked out of the city gate's restrictions when a sudden voice called out. The person called Qianqian was a late-stage Dao birth man with a slightly thin figure. Not only was the Dao rune aura on his body valiant, but it also carried a sharp edge. At one glance, one could tell that he was someone who lived on the edge of life and death all year round. "Senior Brother Yuan, why are you here?" Qianqian also recognized the man in front of her and asked in surprise. Saying that, she immediately introduced him to Ningcheng. "Big Brother Ning, this is Senior Apprentice Brother Yuanji. We had once teamed up to go to the underground abyss to train together." Yuanji obviously did not care about Ningcheng. He just nodded at Ningcheng casually and stared at Qianqian in disbelief. "Qianqian, you and I were both at the mid-stage Dao birth back then. And your foundation was even stronger than mine. How did you become like this? We haven't seen you since that time in the underground abyss. Where did you go?" Qianqian understood Yuanji's words. Why was it that after 10,000 years his cultivation level had declined from the Dao birth to the Dao modeling instead of rising? Qianqian's eyes dimmed and she said dejectedly, "That time, I encountered danger and almost fell in the underground abyss. In addition, some things have happened to me over the years, causing my cultivation to drop. By the way, do you, Zhangchu Wenze, and the others often go to the underground abyss?" Yuanji shook his head. "Wenze died a long time ago. After that, something happened in the underground abyss. I heard that there was a problem with the blood pillar suppressing the demons in the underground abyss." Hearing that there was a problem with the blood column, Qianqian asked anxiously, "What happened after that? How are you now?" Yuanji looked at Qianqian suspiciously, but still explained. "After something happened to the suppressed demonic creatures in the underground abyss, the Grandee experts once again entered the underground abyss to forcefully suppress them. Currently, the underground abyss is no longer allowed to enter. As for the specifics, I have never gone down there. Wenze, who formed a team with us, died because of a problem with the blood pillar suppressing the underground abyss." Seeing that Qianqian had fallen silent, Yuanji spoke again. "Qianqian, why don't you come with me to the ice forest floating island? Although it's a bit dangerous there, it has plenty of spirit qi. I'm sure it won't take long for you to recover your cultivation." "I'm not going. Thank you, Senior Apprentice Brother Yuan." Qianqian quickly refused. "No, your cultivation has regressed so much. If you don't work hard, I don't know what will happen to you in the end," Yuanji quickly said. Ningcheng looked at Qianqian in doubt. For Yuanji to say such words, did he have a good relationship with Qianqian and not just a normal teammate? Qianqian also felt a little puzzled. She and Yuanji were just teammates. Although they were friends before, they didn't care about each other's cultivation. Ningqing looked at Qianqian's expression and understood that Qianqian and Yuanji didn't have a good relationship. Yuanji seemed a bit too enthusiastic. Yuanji also realized that he was being too enthusiastic. He sighed and said, "The four of us teamed up to train together in the underground abyss and helped each other. Now I don't know where Zhang Chu went, and Wenze fell in the underground abyss. Thinking about it made me sigh. Now that I see that your cultivation has fallen to the Dao sculpting realm, I can't help but sigh in my heart." Qianqian felt relieved when she heard Yuanji's words. Yuanji's words also evoked some sadness in her. She also sighed. "Senior apprentice brother Yuan, I do have some things to take care of. After I finish these things, I might go to the ice forest floating island." Seeing Qianqian say this, Yuanji didn't say anything else. He could only exchange communication messages with Qianqian before sending Ningqing and Qianqian away from Wuting's sacred Dao city. "Are you familiar with this, Yuanji?" After the starry sky left Wuting's sacred Dao city, Ningqing asked Qianqian. Qianqian shook her head. "No, we only teamed up before. It's probably because he's the only one left among the four of us." "Did you always stay in Wuting's sacred Dao city?" Ningqing asked again. Qianqian nodded. "Yes, because Wuting's sacred Dao city is suitable for my cultivation. Plus, it's close to the Shallow Cloud Villa, so I can often go back to the villa." Ningqing suspected that Yuanji deliberately stayed in Wuting's sacred Dao city to wait for Qianqian. But it was just a guess. Waiting for 10,000 years was just a legend. If there was a real version of waiting for 10,000 years, Ningqing would have some doubts about it. Unless he was waiting for Qianqian. But in fact, when he saw Qianqian, he just invited Qianqian to the ice forest floating island, and didn't say anything. In less than a day, Ningqing and Qianqian appeared outside the Shallow Cloud Villa. This place was indeed a wonderful place for cultivation, surrounded by green mountains and clear waters. The spirit qi here wasn't any weaker than in Wuting's sacred Dao city. Within the Shallow Cloud Villa's restrictions, one could vaguely see the shadow of a pavilion. "Big brother Ning, this is the Shallow Cloud Villa. Since big sister Shi asked me to leave and prepare for reincarnation, I've only looked around from the outside, never." Qianqian's words suddenly stopped, and her expression changed. As soon as Ningqing came here, he knew that someone was in the Shallow Cloud Villa. But he still had some doubts in his heart. Since Shi had called Qianqian away, no one should have lived here. But now that Qianqian's expression changed, Ningqing understood that someone had occupied this place. How could anyone live here? Qianqian muttered to herself. Ningqing asked in confusion, "Since there's no one in the Shallow Cloud Villa, it should be an ownerless place, right? Since it's an ownerless place, would there be a problem for others to live here?" Qianqian shook her head. There are indeed many ownerless places in the Grand Change realm, but the Shallow Cloud Villa isn't one of them. Although the Shallow Cloud Villa is in the Luiying Dao court and nominally belongs to the Luiying Dao pavilion, it's actually a private place that belongs to Big Sister Shi. Unless Big Sister Shi takes the initiative to give this place to others, it would be under the protection of the Dao court. After saying that, Qianqian looked at Ningqing expectantly. Apparently, she wanted Ningqing to make the decision. It would be best if they could take back the Shallow Cloud Villa. Ningqing remained silent for a long time before saying, "Qianqian, whether we can take back the Shallow Cloud Villa or not is secondary. Even if we can take it back, we can't do anything now. Once we take action now, others will immediately know about it. It would be very disadvantageous for us to go to the underground abyss to find Shi. Since someone used Shi to suppress the underground demonic creatures, that person would definitely keep an eye on the Shallow Cloud Villa. My idea is to find an excuse to go in and have a look." Qianqian understood that Ningqing was right, but they could only do this. In fact, even if they disguised themselves, it wouldn't be appropriate. However, Qianqian did feel anxious. She didn't know what kind of damage Big Sister Shi's residence would cause. A day later, the restrictions outside the Shallow Cloud Villa activated. Ningqing, disguised as a middle-aged man, stood outside the restrictions. Ningqing waited for half an incense stick worth of time before the restrictions finally opened. A yellow-bearded old man appeared inside the restrictions. He stared at Ningqing and didn't speak. Ning Cheng frowned slightly and cupped his fists. This Dao friend, I mean Qian's elder brother Yin Cheng. You're in the wrong place. Yin Qian isn't here. The old man finished, and was about to activate the restrictions again. Without waiting for the old man to activate the restrictions, Ning Cheng took a step forward and forced his way through the restrictions. He then asked with a calm face, My sister Yin Qian has always been in the shallow cloud villa. How can you say that she isn't here? What the hell is going on? You dare to break into a private cave? The old man's expression suddenly turned cold. As he spoke, his aura overflowed. However, he only had a Dao sculpting cultivation, and didn't dare to do anything to Ning Cheng. He only did this to scare Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had heard from Yin Qian that in the Luoying Dao court, any act of breaking into a private cave was considered a serious provocation. The Luoying Dao Pavilion, in order to strengthen the Dao court's cohesiveness and governance, would kill anyone who did such a thing. In other words, as long as the Luoying Dao Pavilion found out about Ning Cheng's current actions, they would kill him without a doubt. This is your private cave? How come I don't know about it? The shallow cloud villa belongs to Shi, and Yin Qian is always by Shi's side. I've come here a few times, but I've never heard of this place becoming someone else's. Ning Cheng sneered and pressed down on the other party with his aura. Sure enough, after the old man heard Ning Cheng's words, a trace of astonishment flashed across his face. He couldn't find any words to refute Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng felt a little surprised. He had thought that since this person dared to live in the shallow cloud villa, the Dao court must have allowed it. Since it was allowed, then when he said that the shallow cloud villa belonged to Shi, the other party should have refuted it. Once the other party refuted it, Ning Cheng would know if the shallow cloud villa was released by the Luoying Dao court. At the same time, he would also know if the Luoying Dao court's shadow was behind Shi's nailing to the ground. I'm really sorry. When we lived here, we didn't know that this place had an owner. If the owner comes back, we can move out at any time. A crisp voice arrived, and a woman wearing a sky blue dress walked over. Chapter 1064. Ning Cheng's heart suddenly tightened. It wasn't because this woman was easy to talk to. It was because of this woman's cultivation. This woman's body was filled with condensed Dao runes, and the surrounding space was filled with a powerful law aura. Ning Cheng didn't even need to check the other party's cultivation to know that this woman was at least a primordial chaos expert. That's not it. This place isn't mine. I just came to see my sister. Ning Cheng quickly said. When we came here, this place was empty. Because someone brought me here and allowed me to cultivate here, I have been able to stay here until today. As for your sister and I've never seen them before. The blue-robed woman said politely. Ning Cheng hesitated before saying, Then can I go in and have a look? The reason why he hesitated was because this woman's cultivation was too strong. So strong that he almost couldn't resist. Fortunately, he didn't see any killing intent from this woman. If there was even the slightest killing intent, he wouldn't have gone in. If this woman had killing intent towards him, no matter how deep she hid it, he would be able to detect it. In fact, not only did this woman not have killing intent, but her eyes also looked very kind. Her forehead was slightly wide and her eyes were very bright, giving people a sense of peace and intimacy. Although this woman didn't look particularly beautiful, she was very pleasing to the eye. Of course. The blue-robed woman said with a smile and took the initiative to lead the way. She gave Yemo the feeling that whether it was speaking or acting, she was extremely gentle, giving people a feeling of a spring breeze. After Ning Cheng followed behind the blue-robed woman and entered the restriction, he saw a gatehouse with 4 words carved on it, Shallow Cloud Villa. What made Ning Cheng puzzled was that under the word Shallow Cloud Villa, there were 3 slightly more delicate words, Guangyuan Palace. Seeing Ning Cheng look at the 3 words Guangyuan Palace, the blue-robed woman smiled and said, The place I used to live was called Guangyuan Palace. After I left home, I felt homesick, so I wrote the 3 words Guangyuan Palace. Ning Cheng's impression of this blue-robed woman soared. If it was someone else, they might have thrown the Shallow Cloud Villa aside the moment they put up the 3 words Guangyuan Palace. But this woman not only didn't throw away the 4 words Shallow Cloud Villa, but also put up the 3 words Guangyuan Palace. Would you like to take a seat first, fellow Taoist Yin, or would you like to take a look at your friend's residence? The woman in the blue dress asked softly. Ningqing cupped his fists and thanked him. I'm a little worried about my sister. I'd better go and take a look at her residence first. The blue-dressed woman said to the yellow-bearded old man. Liang Kai, bring Dao friend Yin to the backyard to take a look. Yes, Mississippi. The yellow-bearded old man hurriedly responded. Ningqing understood that this yellow-bearded old man should be the servant of this blue-robed woman. Er's immortal cave was not located in the deepest part of this place. Ningqing followed the yellow-bearded old man, and soon arrived in front of a garden with intact restrictions. The yellow-bearded old man pointed at the garden and said, This is the place where the original owner lived. Not only did my family's young miss not touch the restrictions here, she even added a layer of restrictions outside. Many thanks, Dao friend. After Ningqing thanked him, his figure flashed a few times before he directly entered the restriction. The yellow-bearded old man looked at Ningqing's disappearing back, hesitated for a moment, before turning around to leave. Soon he arrived at the side of the blue-robed woman. Did he go in? The blue-dressed woman asked casually. The yellow-bearded old man nodded and hesitated for a while before saying, He forcefully broke through the restriction, could it be? The blue-dressed woman seemed to know the yellow-bearded old man's hesitation, so she smiled and said, He might not be called Yincheng, but he should know the people who lived here before, and it's likely his first time here. When your cultivation reaches a certain level, you can also sense the other party's Dao rune fluctuations through the laws of heaven and earth. This Dao friend Yin's Dao rune fluctuations are not obvious, but he is extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even ordinary Dao transformation divine emperors might not be his match. The yellow-bearded old man did not feel strange about the blue-dress woman's words. He nodded and took it for granted. After Ningqing entered the restriction, he found that Er's residence was very simple. Apart from a garden, there was only a cultivation room that wasn't very big. Because no one had taken care of the garden for a long time, it was already overgrown with weeds. Ningqing didn't clean up the garden but walked into Er's cultivation room. Just as he guessed, apart from a simple jade bed, there was only a jade table and a praying mat. Because the room was protected by restrictions, there was no dust. Ningqing grabbed the praying mat and looked at it for a long time, but he couldn't find anything wrong with it. The jade bed was even more empty. There was nothing there. On the jade table, there was a small mountain model. Ningqing picked up the mountain model and saw the words World Mountain on it. Ningqing put away the World Mountain model and found that there was nothing inside, so he turned around and left in disappointment. In Ningqing's opinion, this was normal. Er didn't want Qianqian and Panqian to come back, so how could she leave anything here? After Ningqing walked out, he found that the blue-dressed woman was still waiting for him outside, which made him feel very embarrassed. A primordial essence divine emperor was waiting for a Dao nourishment divine emperor. No one would believe it. All along, no matter how gentle the cultivators Ningqing met, they wouldn't wait for a Dao nourishment divine emperor with primordial essence cultivation. If Dao friend Yin is not in a hurry, you can sit here for a while. If Dao friend Yin is in a hurry, I can ask Liang Kai to send you out now. As for Shallow Cloud Manor, Dao friend Yin can take it back at any time. The blue-dress woman said with a smile. If it was another primordial essence divine emperor, Ningqing would never stay here after investigating Shallow Cloud Manor. But since the blue-dress woman said that she wanted him to stay, he could stay and ask a few questions. Then I'll have to bother you, senior sister. My name is Nianyan. You can call me by my name. The woman's tone was even softer. After saying that, she led Ningqing to the guest hall and sat down, before pouring a cup of spiritual tea for Ningqing. Senior apprentice Sister Nianyan, I just saw some messages in my younger sister's room. She told me that this is not a place to stay for long, and wanted me to leave. Ningqing did not speak too straightforwardly, but rather vaguely. Nianyan nodded and said, You're from the Great Change Realm, so you should know about the underground abyss, right? Ningqing naturally wouldn't say that he wasn't from the Great Change Realm. He nodded and said, Yes, the underground abyss is a good place for trials. But because of some problems a few years ago, it's very difficult to go to the underground abyss to find demonic crystals. When I first came here, my cultivation level was only at the Tao birth realm. I met a powerhouse who felt that I had a lot of potential and said that we were fated, so he let me settle in Shallow Cloud Manor. When Nianyan said that, Ningcheng felt that something was wrong. He opened his mouth to say something, but eventually swallowed the words he was about to say. Nianyan was somewhat similar to Xi'er. They were both people with pure hearts. This kind of person was probably the most suitable to suppress the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. That person probably sent Nianyan here to suppress the demonic creatures in the underground abyss in the future. What Ningcheng couldn't understand was that according to Yuan Ji, the demonic creatures in the underground abyss had erupted once. It stood to reason that Nianyan should have been nailed to the blood pillar in the underground abyss to suppress the demonic creatures. Why was she still here? By the way, she was a primordial essence expert. If someone wanted to use her to suppress the demonic creatures, it wouldn't be easy, right? Thinking that Nianyan was a primordial essence divine emperor, Ningcheng became even more puzzled. Nianyan had come to this place less than 10,000 years ago. According to Nianyan, she was also a Tao birth sacred emperor when she came. In less than 10,000 years, Nianyan had advanced to primordial essence sacred emperor? What kind of terrifying aptitude and Tao insight did she have? Ningcheng knew that he had the mysterious yellow bead, and cultivated the mysterious yellow formless. However, he had some doubts about whether she could advance to primordial essence in 10,000 years. Nianyan could advance from Tao birth sacred emperor to primordial essence in 10,000 years? This, as if sensing Ningcheng's confusion, Nianyan said softly, "When I first came here, I was only a Tao birth sacred emperor. No one in the Great Change realm cared about this cultivation level. As long as I didn't leave for a long time, the person who sent me here wouldn't care about me. Later, when the demonic creatures erupted, I was already a primordial essence sacred emperor. He came to see me, but he just sat here for a while and left after drinking a cup of spirit tea." Nianyan spoke very tactfully, but Ningcheng heard it clearly. The person who came to see her could only leave dejectedly when he saw that she had such a powerful cultivation level. It would probably be a little difficult to catch a primordial essence sacred emperor to suppress the demonic creatures underground. It seemed like Nianyan was very clear about the reason why she lived here, and the cause and effect. If she knew that she could advance from Tao birth to primordial essence within 10,000 years, not only would her aptitude be strong, but her Tao insight would also be strong. Even her intelligence would be demonic to the extreme. "Who let you settle in Shallow Cloud Manor?" Ningcheng asked hurriedly. That person must have raised Nianyan here to suppress the demonic creatures. Only someone who had suppressed demonic creatures would do so. Even if she wasn't nailed to the blood pillar by him, it must have something to do with him. I only know that his name is Lu Fengzhen, and he seems to be the city lord of Wuting Sacred Tao City. His strength should be similar to mine. I've also seen the underground abyss once. Given his strength, I'm afraid he can't suppress it alone. I guess someone helped him. After listening to Nianyan's words, Ningcheng knew that Nianyan knew everything very well. Otherwise she wouldn't have said that. Ningcheng stood up and said to Nianyan with cupped fists, "Thank you, Senior Sister Nianyan. Senior Sister Nianyan's heart is pure and you understand the laws of heaven and earth. You must already know that I came here in disguise. Because my strength is too low, I hope Senior Sister Nianyan can forgive me if I offended you. Goodbye." He didn't need to worry about a person like Nianyan at all. Ningcheng also understood why she was safe and sound. Given her Tao heart and understanding the laws of heaven and earth, she could advance at any time. The experts in the Great Change realm weren't idiots. They wouldn't offend an expert like Nianyan. Chapter 1065. Big Brother Ning, how was it? As soon as Ningcheng returned, Qianqian couldn't help but ask. Ningcheng said, "You don't have to worry, the place where Xi'er lives has not changed. The woman who moved in is similar to your sister She has a pure heart and a bright Tao heart. The reason why she lived here was because Lu Fengzhen wanted to use her as a sacrifice to suppress the underground monsters. However, Lu Fengzhen had not expected this woman's aptitude to be so high that she had advanced to the primordial chaos realm in less than 10,000 years. Furthermore, he's extremely powerful, so he doesn't dare to touch him. After listening to Ning Cheng's explanation, Qianqian finally felt relieved. Then Big Brother Ning, where are we going now? How long will it take to get to the underground abyss? At our current speed, it'll probably take a few months. Because there are 2 teleportation arrays that are quite far from each other, the flight time is also quite long. After learning that the underground abyss was very far away, Ning Cheng spoke up in a straightforward manner. Let's return to the Grand Simplicity Alchemy City first. After participating in the 5 Realms Pill competition, we can then find a way to go to the underground abyss. Whether it was Si Chun, Qiu Tian or himself, it would be a pity if they missed the 5 Realms Pill competition. Moreover, if he delayed the 5 Realm Elixir competition, the Elixir Association would definitely look for him everywhere. Once the Elixir Association searched for him, he would be exposed no matter where he teleported to, even if he disguised himself. His and Qianqian's trip to the underground abyss was a secret operation, and they could not be exposed before that. Qianqian also knew that Ning Cheng was telling the truth. Even if she didn't want big sister to suffer in the underground abyss, she had no other choice. 2 hours later, Ning Cheng suddenly stopped the starry sky wheel. Just when Qianqian looked at Ning Cheng in confusion, a jet-black airship shadow suddenly appeared in front of the starry sky wheel. The flying boat stopped, and a robust late-stage Dao birth male cultivator appeared at the bow of the flying boat. Bandits? Qianqian exclaimed in shock. It wasn't that she hadn't seen bandits before, but they would usually appear in remote and uninhabited places. It was impossible for them to appear in the territory of the Luing Dao court. It's not a road thief. He came here to kill me and then take you away. Ning Cheng spoke with a calm voice. He didn't even put away the starry sky wheel. At that moment he was in a confinement killing array. He was at the early stage Dao birth, while the other party was at the late stage Dao birth. There was also a confinement killing array. No matter who saw it, Ning Cheng would die without a doubt. In Ning Cheng's opinion, he was not the one who would definitely die, but the late-stage Dao birth cultivator who had stopped him. With his array Dao standards, a mere death trap array wanted to stop him? This fellow was simply courting death. After Qianqian heard Ning Cheng's words, she felt a little surprised. How did Ning Cheng know the other party's purpose? However, she very quickly reacted and looked at the late-stage Dao birth cultivator blocking her way with some sorrow in her eyes. 2 days ago, he was still talking about how he wanted to help her, but in the blink of an eye, he had disguised himself as a stranger and wanted to take her away. How could Qianqian not know that this Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor was Yuan Qi? Thinking back to what Ning Cheng had asked her before, she understood that Yuan Yi had only one purpose for stopping her here, which was to grab her and take her away. The reason for capturing her was simple, and that was because her identity had been discovered by Yuan Ji. Yuan Ji probably didn't know so many things. He was definitely helping someone else. As for why the person behind Yuan Ji wanted to find her, it must be to interrogate her about Pan Qian's whereabouts. Sure enough, after seeing the starry sky will stop, Yuan Ji made his move. A huge black cauldron smashed down from the void. This black cauldron directly ignored Ning Cheng's domain. At this moment, the entire world under the black cauldron was under Yuan Ji's control. A tearing sound could be heard in the air, devouring one's heart and soul. A sharp pressure gathered towards the center of the space enveloped by the black cauldron. An ice-cold strip with a deathly aura stabbed down from the center of the black cauldron's compressed space, and Ning Cheng was in the center of this ice-cold killing intent. Yuan Ji's eyes showed a trace of disdain. He had indeed set up a death trap array, but he couldn't use it at all. In his opinion, once he used his black cauldron's ice-cold spiritual power, Ning Cheng could only wait for death. If Ning Cheng was stronger, he might be able to break free from this spiritual power. But now, it seemed that Ning Cheng couldn't break free from this spiritual power. Ning Cheng indeed couldn't break free from the ice-cold strip with a dense deathly aura under the black cauldron. It wasn't that he couldn't break free from this spiritual power, but that this spiritual power didn't pose any threat to him. The moment the ice-cold strip fell, the long spear in Ning Cheng's hand abruptly moved. An ice-cold spear pattern containing the same Dao charm of space surged out, and the surrounding space suppressed by the black cauldron loosened at this moment, followed by a caw-caw sound. Even Qianqian, who was still watching the battle from the starry sky wheel, could feel the pressure around her lessening, and the oppressive feeling brought about by the black cauldron dissipated. The moment Ningcheng's void cold light spear cracked open the space controlled by the black cauldron, Yuanji felt it. His eyes suddenly flashed with surprise. But before he could react, the silent spear mark struck the center of the black cauldron's ice-cold spear. Boom! The ice-cold arrow containing deathly aura was directly smashed into pieces by the cold light spear, and a tearing chill spread out. In just a few breaths, the deathly aura around the ice-cold arrow dissipated without a trace. Not good, this person is too strong. I'm definitely not his opponent. Yuanji immediately understood that the gap between him and Ningcheng was too big. Even with the confinement and killing array, he was not Ningcheng's opponent. At this moment, he no longer thought about killing Ningcheng. Instead, he raised his hand and brought out several array flags. At the same time, a talisman appeared in his hand. How could Ningcheng let Yuanji use the talisman to escape? A late-stage Dao Birth cultivator posed no threat to him. Even if this late-stage Dao Birth cultivator had set up a confinement and killing array, he would not be able to escape. Ningcheng's figure seemed to distort space. When the endless Dao charm of confinement and killing blasted over, he calmly disappeared. When the Dao charm of confinement and killing blasted over the starry sky wheel, it only caused the starry sky wheel's defensive restrictions to shake. From the moment Yuanji brought out the array flags to activate the array formation, and took out the escape talisman to when Ningcheng calmly passed through the confinement and killing array, it took less than a breath. After a breath, Ningcheng's spear pattern Dao charm bound Yuanji's escape talisman. An endless oppressive aura blasted over, and a trace of despair flashed through Yuanji's heart. He never expected that Ningcheng would be so strong. Although they were both at the Dao Birth realm, his cultivation level was higher than Ningcheng's. Yet he could not resist Ningcheng. Puff! The cold light spear nailed the talisman. As it passed through the talisman, it nailed Yuanji to the void. Let me go, and I can tell you who wants to capture Qianqian. Yuanji's eyes turned ashen as he looked at Ningcheng in despair. Ningcheng raised the void cold light spear and picked Yuanji up. He looked at Yuanji and said calmly, "Do you want to say that the person who asked you to capture Qianqian is Wu Ting's sacred Dao city's Lu Fangzhen?" Yuanji's eyes showed disbelief. How did the other party know who asked him to look for Qianqian? I'll give you 3 breaths. Tell me why Lu Fangzhen wants to look for Qianqian. Ningcheng guessed that Yuanji did not know why Lu Fangzhen wanted to look for Qianqian. But he still asked with hope in mind. After hearing Ningcheng's words, Yuanji quickly called out, "Qianqian, for the sake of our team." 1 breath. Ningcheng interrupted him. "I don't know. You should be able to guess that Lu Fangzhen wouldn't tell me the reason." Yuanji saw that Qianqian didn't come over and understood that he couldn't ask Qianqian to save him. 2 breaths. Ningcheng ignored Yuanji's words. Yuanji's face turned pale. He knew that it was useless to say anything else. As Ningcheng's 3 breaths of time passed, the cold light spear tore through Yuanji's essence spirit, and Ningcheng put away Yuanji's ring. "Let's go. Yuanji really doesn't know why Lu Fangzhen wants to find you. I guess it should be because of Pan Qian." Ningcheng landed on the starry sky wheel, and said to Qianqian. Qianqian's eyes were filled with disappointment. She didn't have many friends in the Grand Change realm. Even Yuanji and the others who teamed up with her were considered friends. But now, the ruthless truth made her feel sad. In the Grand Change realm, the 5 great Dao courts occupied almost 80% of the territory. The few ownerless territories were either public places that had already been negotiated with each other, or some extremely dangerous environments. There were also some places that didn't belong to the 5 great Dao courts or the 3 great Dao sects. Grand Change Alchemy City was such a sage Dao pill city that drifted away from the major forces. Grand Change Alchemy City belonged to the Pill Association in name, but in fact, this place was just the base of the Pill Association. The Alchemy City's city lord didn't necessarily have to be a member of the Pill Association. Those who competed for the position of city lord could be rogue cultivators, alchemists, or even figures from the 5 great Dao courts or the 3 great Dao sects. Regardless of the origin, one thing was certain: and that was that the city lord had to be fair and just. If there was any bullying or bias, the Pill Association would immediately kill the city lord without any mercy. Because of this, Grand Change Alchemy City could be said to be the fairest and most peaceful Sage Dao city in the entire Grand Change realm. It was somewhat similar to Covered Snow City in stately River Star, where Ningcheng lived. As soon as Ningcheng arrived at Grand Change Alchemy City, he felt this situation. It was probably because of this environment that Grand Change Alchemy City was so lively. Since Ningcheng entered the Grand Change realm, Grand Change Alchemy City was the most lively Sage Dao city he had ever seen. "Excuse me, are you Pill Master Ning?" Ningcheng and Qianqian walked into Grand Change Alchemy City, and were about to find a place to stay when a crisp voice called out to Ningcheng. Ningcheng stopped and looked at the pretty girl who called out to him and asked in confusion, "Yes, I'm Ningcheng. Are you looking for me?" He didn't know this girl at all. If Si Chun, Qiu Tian, Lu Dongsa, or Kong Lianbo were looking for him, they would have sent a message to him directly instead of letting a stranger find him. The girl bowed and said, "I'm not looking for you. Our city lord is looking for you. Pill Master Ning, if you have time, please come with me." "Your city lord? Grand Change Alchemy City's city lord?" Ningcheng thought to himself. He had just entered Grand Change Alchemy City, and this city lord came looking for him? Didn't he have a bit too much face? Even if he won against Lu Dongsa, he wouldn't have such a big face. "No, it's City Lord Lu," the girl quickly explained. Ningcheng blurted out, "Is it Wu Ting Sacred Dao City's City Lord Lu Fangzhen?" Chapter 1066. Hearing that a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor dared to call Lu Fangzhen's name, the girl's face sunk and she said sternly, "City Lord Lu is looking for you. Pill Master Ning, come with me." If someone else invited him, he would probably go. Since this Lu Fangzhen invited him, Ningcheng would never go. Moreover, Lu Fangzhen's invitation was not an invitation. To put it bluntly, it was an order. From the beginning to the end, this young girl never said that Lu Fangzhen had invited her. She only said that Lu Fangzhen had something to discuss with her. She was still unhappy when he mentioned Lu Fangzhen's name. Now, she didn't even need to ask if he was free. She just asked him to go with her. Did this guy think he was the ruler of heaven and earth? The Grand Change Realm's Dao Court might be a place with a strict hierarchy, but Ningcheng wasn't someone from the Dao Court. "Sissy, let's go. Recently, there are a lot of people in the Great Simplicity Alchemy City. Let's not look for a place. Let's go directly to Association Master Sichen." Ningcheng didn't even bother to pay attention to this girl, and directly called out to Qianqian, "Pill Master Ning, you should come with me to pay a visit to City Lord Lu first." The young girl's expression turned even uglier. Throughout history, whenever City Lord Lu wanted to meet someone, she only needed to say a word. Most of the time, she didn't even need to show up herself. She could just call someone over to greet her. She purposely used the word greet, meaning that City Lord Lu's status was much higher than his. Even though this was not Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City, no one dared to disregard City Lord Lu's words in this place. This time, she had personally come to find Ningcheng, but because Ningcheng was a pill master, she had given him enough face. Now, it seemed that even if she gave him face, he might not even give her the time of day. Ningcheng stopped, looked at the girl and asked, "Does Lu Fangzhen know me?" City Lord Lu has never seen Alchemist Ning before. Ningcheng calling out Lu Fangzhen's name for the second time made the girl even angrier. However, she did not have the courage to do anything to the pill masters of the Five Realms pill competition. After saying this sentence, she felt a little unhappy in her heart and threatened him. "Ningcheng, City Master Lu asked you to go. If you don't go, have you thought about the consequences? I'm afraid it's not something a puny Grand Essence Realm alchemist like you can bear. Even if your alchemy Dao isn't bad, it's the same." Ningcheng showed a faint smile. If he did not threaten him, he would at most refuse. But threatening him? "Who do you think you are, Lu Fangzhen?" "Lu Fangzhen doesn't know me, and I don't know him either. Why would I go see him? Does he have one more egg than others? Or is his face bigger than others' buttocks?" After saying this sentence, Ningcheng did not wait for the other party to answer, and directly walked away. It wasn't that he wanted to intentionally offend Lu Fangzhen, But he had long since run out of leeway with Lu Fangzhen. There was no point in enduring anymore. Since Lu Fangzhen was looking for him for no reason, he must have found some clues. Perhaps they only wanted to interrogate him about the whole story. In other words, if he went to see Lu Fangzhen and Lu Fangzhen accidentally killed him, he could only blame it on his bad luck. With Lu Fangzhen's status, if he killed a mere alchemist like him, even if he would be condemned by the Elixir Association or be held accountable, they would not do anything to him. Since they were destined to be enemies, there was no need to kneel and lick each other's stinky feet. Watching Ning Cheng and Qianqian walk away, the messenger girl's face turned livid with anger, and her whole body trembled. She had never seen such an arrogant guy. He was just a Tao nourishment divine emperor. So what if he was a pill sage? Big brother Ning, Lu Fangzhen is famous for seeking revenge for the smallest grievance. I'm afraid. Seeing that Ning Qing not only didn't go to see Lu Fangzhen, but also spoke rudely, Qianqian immediately spoke with some worry. Ning Qing smiled. Qianqian, don't worry. Lu Fangzhen came looking for us because he became suspicious. Even if we listen to him, he won't let us go. I'm sorry I implicated you. Qianqian thought of Pan Qian, who had blocked the way before, and spoke with some sadness. Ning Qing said directly, Qianqian, you're wrong. Pan Qian and I have a life-and-death friendship. His matters are my matters. With Lu Fangzhen by his side, Ning Qing went to find Xichen Qiutian. Fortunately, Xichen Qiutian had already arranged a room for him. The 5 great Tao courts each had a rest stop in Great Yi Alchemy City, and Lu Fangzhen lived in the Jade Pearl rest stop. The Jade Pearl rest stop wasn't far from Ning Cheng's unparalleled rest stop. However, in Great Yi Alchemy City, even a few steps away couldn't be detected with spiritual consciousness. At this moment, Lu Fangzhen listened to the girl's words with a calm expression. He didn't get angry when Ning Cheng compared his face to someone else's ass. His gaze didn't even change. After the girl finished speaking, he said in a calm voice, You can go now. I got it. After Ning Cheng returned to the rest stop, he continued to study the universe plants. As long as he didn't go out, Lu Fangzhen couldn't do anything to him. If there was anything he didn't understand, he would immediately ask Lu Dongsa, who also lived in unparalleled rest stop. As for the few plants that weren't marked, Lu Dongsa didn't know. As for what he knew, he told Ning Cheng without reservation. After more than 2 months, Ning Cheng had already read 2/3 of the universe plants in his hand. During these 2 months, Ning Cheng had gained a lot. Not only because of the contents of the universe plants, but also because of the Pill Dao discussion with Lu Dongsa, which gave him a lot of inspiration. When it came to the Pill Dao, Lu Dongsa had a higher level than Xichen Qiutian. In addition to his understanding of the Pill Dao, Ning Cheng and Lu Dongsa also forged a deep friendship. Lu Dongsa had a direct personality, and didn't like to beat around the bush. This kind of personality made it easy for him to offend people, but he got along well with Ning Cheng. On this day, Ning Cheng had just put down the universe plants when the restriction at the door was triggered. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and saw Xichen Qiutian, and a strange middle-aged Confucian scholar standing at the door. He immediately noticed that this strange Confucian scholar's cultivation wasn't any worse than Xichen Qiutian's. In other words, the other party was at least a primordial chaos powerhouse. Which primordial chaos holy emperor came to find him? Ning Cheng opened the room's restriction, but before he could speak, Xichen Qiutian smiled and said, Ning Cheng, this is Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City Lord Lu Fangzhen. He heard that your Pill Dao is amazing, so he came to visit. If it was an ordinary person, they would definitely be shocked to learn that a primordial chaos holy emperor came to visit a small Dao nourishment holy emperor pill master like Ning Cheng. Xichen Qiutian didn't feel surprised. Ning Cheng had the qualifications to make any primordial chaos holy emperor come to visit him. Ning Cheng's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect Lu Fangzhen to be so magnanimous. He had ridiculed Lu Fangzhen like that. If it was anyone else, they would only act in secret and would never take the initiative to visit. The reason why he ridiculed Lu Fangzhen mercilessly in the first place, apart from disdain for Lu Fangzhen's attitude, and knowing that the two of them wouldn't become friends, another purpose was to let him know that Lu Fangzhen was his opponent. When Lu Fangzhen secretly acted against him, He could prepare for the Five Realms pill competition with peace of mind. In any case, Ningqing didn't expect Lu Fangzhen to take the initiative to visit him. So it's City Lord Lu. Please come in. Union Master Xichen, please come in. Lu Fangzhen had lowered his stance this time. No matter what his purpose was, Ningqing couldn't say anything before Lu Fangzhen fell out with him. He had to invite Union Master Xichen in. Otherwise, what would he do if Lu Fangzhen suddenly attacked him? Xichen Qiutian also didn't plan to leave. No matter why Lu Fangzhen came to see Ningqing, Lu Fangzhen was still a primordial essence holy emperor. Ningqing was the person he was most optimistic about. Therefore, he naturally couldn't let Ningqing be alone with an unfamiliar primordial essence holy emperor. For this Five Realms pill competition, I also received an invitation from the Great Change Pill Meet. I've long heard that Pill Sage Ning's Tao of Alchemy has reached a new level. This Lu came uninvited. I hope Pill Sage Ning won't blame me. Lu Fangzhen not only spoke naturally but also spoke politely. It was as if he wasn't the one who directly ordered Ningqing to go there last time. I didn't expect City Lord Lu to be a person who loves alchemy. That's for the best. Let's discuss the Tao of Alchemy together. Ningqing pretended to be surprised. As long as Lu Fangzhen agreed to discuss the Tao of Alchemy with Xichen Qiutian, he could just leave Lu Fangzhen here for a few days and nights. Lu Fangzhen quickly waved his hand and said, "I'd just like to interact with alchemists. I don't have a deep understanding of the Tao of Alchemy. By the way, I heard that when Pill Sage Ning first arrived in the Great Change Realm, you went out for a walk. Did you gain anything?" Regardless of what Lu Fangzhen meant by this question, Ningqing still replied calmly, "The Great Change Realm is too big. I wandered around for a few days but couldn't find any clues. So I simply returned to Alchemy City." Lu Fangzhen said with a straight face, "I admire Pill Sage Ning's achievements in the Tao of Alchemy. But although the Great Change Realm is jointly protected by the 5 major Tao courts, it still has some turbulence. All along, alchemists have made the greatest contributions. The Great Change Alchemy City is close to the Luiying Dao Pavilion. If something happens, my Luiying Dao Pavilion would be ashamed to face the pill meet." Ningqing sneered in his heart, but didn't say anything. "Let's see how you play." Seeing that Ningqing didn't say anything, Lu Fangzhen took the initiative to speak up. "Pill Sage Ning should know about the Great Change Giant Clan, right? The Great Change Giant Clan once plotted to seize the entire Great Change Realm. Fortunately, we discovered it early and finally managed to prevent this disaster. Unfortunately, there are still some fish that escaped the net. There's a saying that wildfire can't burn away anything, but the spring wind blows it again. What they lack the most are alchemists who can refine Tao pills for them. Therefore, I'm very worried about this 5 Realms pill competition. Many thanks for City Lord Lu's concern. But I don't plan on leaving this place before the 5 Realms pill competition ends," Ningqing said with a sour tone in his heart. The ancient giant clan was a threat? This Lu Fangzhen was truly shameless. Lu Fangzhen nodded and said with a solemn tone, "I heard that you have a woman named Qianqian by your side. Did you bring her from the void city of the 5 Realms? Here it comes," Ningqing thought to himself. He just didn't know if Lu Fangzhen learned about Qianqian after Yuanji's death or before. According to his judgment, Lu Fangzhen should have learned about it after Yuanji's death. Otherwise, someone like Lu Fangzhen wouldn't have waited for him and Qianqian to arrive at the Great Change Sacred Tao City before intercepting them. Chapter 1067. Qianqian is my friend. I've known her for a long time. She wasn't brought here from the void city of the 5 Realms. Even though he knew that Lu Fangzhen knew Qianqian's identity, Ningqing still denied it. After Lu Fangzhen heard Ningqing's words, he asked, "Pill Master Ning, do you know about the Glazing Dao Court's Dao Crossing Pool?" Dao Crossing Pool? Ningqing had never heard of such a thing before. Xichen Qiutian, who hadn't spoken until now, felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere. Seeing that Ningqing didn't understand anything about the Dao Crossing Pond, he added from the side, "The Dao Crossing Pond is the Glazing Dao Court's #1 treasure land. It can help first-step Dao confirming holy emperors feel the Dao charm laws of the second-step Dao charm. I heard that many Dao Essence powerhouses came out of the Dao Crossing Pond. However, not everyone can go to the Dao Crossing Pool. Only an extremely small number of genius divine emperors have the opportunity to comprehend the second step Dao Essence. By the side, Lu Fengzhen smiled and added, Union Head Sichen is right. The Dao Crossing Pond is indeed the #1 treasure land of my glazing Dao court. Alchemist Ning is shockingly talented, and even Guild Master Kong thinks very highly of him. When I came to Alchemy City, I asked Dao Lord about it. If Pill Master Ning is willing, my glazing Dao court's Dao Crossing Pond can be opened for Pill Master Ning at any time. Ning Qing spoke up calmly, I don't deserve it. The glazing Dao court's Dao Crossing Pond is a treasure land of the Grand Change realm. As an alchemist from the Grand Essence realm, I wouldn't dare to act rashly. Lu Fengzhen's complexion changed. How could Alchemist Ning not have any merit? Our Dao Lord has some questions for Qianqian. For Pill Master Ning to find Qianqian and bring her to the Grand Change realm is a great merit in itself. Oh, thank you, Brother Lu. I indeed found Qianqian and brought her to the Grand Change realm. I didn't expect it to be such a great contribution. Ning Cheng showed a smile on his face and spoke with cupped fists. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Lu Fengzhen immediately felt overjoyed. He stood up and said, Pill Master Ning can apply to my Luiying Dao Court's Dao Crossing Pool at any time. Since I have something to do, I won't disturb Pill Master Ning. Pill Master Ning, please call Qianqian out and come with me. Ning Cheng's face sank. City Master Lu, Qianqian is currently in secluded cultivation. I won't be able to go with you. Lu Fengzhen's eyes turned cold. So Pill Master Ning was just playing with me just now? Ning Cheng still spoke up in a calm manner. I don't dare to say that it's a pastime, but I did not say that I would let Qianqian go with you. If City Lord Lu says that finding Qianqian and bringing her to the Great Change Realm doesn't count as a merit, I don't have any objections. City Lord Lu, have a safe journey. I won't be sending you off. After saying that, Ning Qing did not wait for Lu Fengzhen to quibble, and directly stood up to send him off. Very good. Lu Fengzhen once again restored his calm, as he turned around and walked out of Ning Cheng's room. Sichen Xiaotian did not ask Ning Cheng why he fell out with Lu Fengzhen. He just spoke to Ning Cheng. There are only a few days left before the 5 Realms pill competition. You have to be careful. I've gained quite a lot these few days, and I still have to deduce the pill formula, so I won't talk to you anymore. Many thanks, Union Leader Sichen. However, Union Leader can leave later. Let's concoct a batch of pills first. Ning Cheng had already felt Situ Chen Xiaotian's confidence in the Tao of Alchemy returning. As long as he refined another batch of Heavenly Heaven Essence pills, Situ Chen Xiaotian would take another step forward. As he spoke, Ning Cheng took out a batch of ingredients for the Heavenly Heaven pill. Sichen Xiaotian had long wanted to concoct such a batch of pills, but his confidence in the Tao of Alchemy had already cracked. He had started to break the jar, and used up some of the ingredients for the Heavenly Heaven pill. Now that Ning Cheng had taken out a batch of Heavenly Heaven pill's ingredients, as long as he successfully concocted this batch of pills, his Tao heart would take another step forward. Sichen Xiaotian nodded to Ning Cheng, but did not say any words of gratitude. Ning Cheng had helped him enough. If not for Ning Cheng, he did not know what would have happened to him. Seeing Sichen Xiaotian sorting out the materials for alchemy, Ning Cheng directly activated the restrictions in the room, and sat to the side without speaking. Instead, he focused on watching Sichen Xiaotian concoct pills. Sichen Xiaotian was very meticulous. He took out hundreds of materials one by one, sorted them into categories, and put them aside. His level in the Tao of Alchemy was very high, but his alchemy ability was far inferior to Ning Cheng's. After finishing this, Sichen Xiaotian brought out the pill furnace and the pill fire. It was another divine flame. Even if Ning Cheng did not know about this flame, he knew that Sichen Xiaotian's flame was very powerful. Sichen Xiaotian sent one divine grass after another into the pill furnace. After another 2 hours, Sichen Xiaotian also sent the Heaven Essence fruit and the Extreme Yin Sacred fruit into the pill furnace. Compared to Ning Cheng's alchemy speed, Sichen Xiaotian's speed was much slower. The Tao charm in the pill furnace surged, and Sichen Xiaotian's entire consciousness fell on the pill furnace. Ning Cheng, who stood to the side, could only see Si Chen Qiutian's pill technique constantly flowing above the pill furnace, step by step, without any pause. After a day, Si Chen Qiutian finally threw out some of the impurities from the divine grass. If Ning Cheng had to refine this batch of heavenly heaven pills, he would have already finished refining it. However, Ning Cheng knew that there were many alchemy techniques. His method of alchemy combined his understanding of the Tao of alchemy with the Tao charm of heaven and earth. This kind of alchemy had very strict requirements. Not only did the pill furnace and the pill fire need to be powerful, but it also depended on the alchemy master's understanding of the Tao of alchemy. Si Chen Qiutian's alchemy technique and Ning Cheng's alchemy technique were essentially the same. The reason why it was slow was because of their different understandings of the Tao of alchemy. Moreover, there was another alchemy technique that could take several years to refine a batch of heavenly heaven pills. This alchemy technique was called pill boiling. There weren't many people who used this pill brewing technique anymore. Especially in the case of the great alchemy competition, who would have the time to watch you brew pills? On the second day, Ning Cheng smelled the fragrance of the heavenly heaven pill in the pill furnace. Ning Cheng had refined the heavenly heaven pill before. Therefore, as soon as he smelled this pill fragrance, he knew that Si Chen Qiutian's success was imminent. Even Si Chen Qiutian felt excited at this moment. He didn't expect that his guess was right. The Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth laws were incomplete, which caused the heavenly heaven pill to fail. At the beginning of the third day, Si Chen Qiutian sped up his pill technique, and the pill charm in the pill furnace surged. 12 white medicinal pills with a tinge of gray fell into a jade bottle on the side. The special grade heavenly heaven pill was milky white in color, but the heavenly heaven pill refined by Si Chen Qiutian had a tinge of gray in it. Although there wasn't a single special grade medicinal pill, there were 5 high-grade medicinal pills, 4 middle-grade medicinal pills, and only 3 low-grade medicinal pills. One could say that Si Chen Qiutian's batch of medicinal pills was a great success. Congratulations to Association Master for successfully refining a batch of heavenly heaven pills. Ning Cheng immediately stood up and congratulated him with cupped fists. Si Chen Qiutian excitedly took out a medicinal pill and looked at it for a while before putting the jade bottle in Ning Cheng's hand. Thank you, Ning Cheng. I'll keep one as a souvenir. Ning Cheng knew that Si Chen Qiutian didn't lack these heavenly heaven pills, not to mention that these medicinal pills didn't belong to him. Therefore, he didn't stand on ceremony. He put away the medicinal pills and said, Association Master, even without me one day, Association Master would have successfully refined the heavenly heaven pill here. Si Chen Qiutian shook his head. No, if I didn't know you, even if I took out this batch of divine grasses, I wouldn't have been able to refine the heavenly heaven pill. Ning Cheng understood Si Chen Qiutian's meaning. Because Si Chen Qiutian's alchemy Tao heart was lacking, if he hadn't helped Si Chen Qiutian regain his confidence in the alchemy Tao, even in the Great Change Realm, Si Chen Qiutian might not have been able to refine such a batch of medicinal pills. The success of this batch of medicinal pills marked the complete disappearance of the pill devil in Si Chen Qiutian's heart. The shadow of failing to refine 51 batches of heavenly heaven pills finally faded away. Si Chen Qiutian regained his alchemy Tao heart, but Ning Cheng didn't stay idle. He was constantly deducing the alchemy Tao. 10 days passed by in a flash. Ever since Ning Cheng left Lu Fengzhen, he never bothered Ning Cheng again. On the day of the pill competition, Ning Cheng walked out of his room in high spirits. Si Chen Qiutian and the others were already waiting outside. Seeing Ning Cheng come out, Si Chen Qiutian smiled and said, Let's go to the alchemy Tao sect. Ning Cheng nodded towards Qianqian and signaled her to follow Protector Ju. He then asked, Association Master Si Chen, why is there someone missing? When Ning Cheng came here, he didn't see Do Jiangshi. Si Chen Qiutian's mood was completely different from when he came. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, he smiled. Don't worry about it. He got separated as soon as he came here. I guess he couldn't participate in the pill competition. Ning Cheng naturally didn't believe that a Tao transformation divine emperor would get separated. He also knew why Do Jiangshi left. If Do Jiangshi still had ideas about him before, then after he pointed out Do Jiangshi's possession, Dou Jiangshi probably wouldn't dare to have any ideas about him. Later on, he became good friends with Si Chen Qiutian and Lu Dongzi. He even had a good relationship with Kong Lianbua. If Dou Jiangshi still thought he had a chance, then he would be an idiot. The only thing Dou Jiangshi could do now was to stay away and wait until he had the strength to come back in the future. Ningqing didn't care about Dou Jiangshi's departure. He didn't fear Dou Jiangshi now, so he wouldn't fear this zombie in the future. The Alchemy Dao sect wasn't a gate, but a public square. Anyone was welcome to watch the Five Realms pill competition. When Ningqing and the others arrived at the Alchemy Dao sect, millions of people had already gathered here. The Alchemy Dao sect didn't have any spiritual consciousness shielding restrictions. Therefore, no matter how many people there were, they could clearly see everyone's performance in the Five Realms pill competition. At the top of the Alchemy Dao sect, there was a tall and huge altar. Ningqing guessed that this altar was for alchemists to participate in the competition. There were also rows of seats at the back of the huge altar, which were probably for the judges of the pill competition. As alchemists participating in the pill competition, Ningqing and the others naturally had a special place to sit. But compared to the other major realms, the Grand Essence realm had the fewest people. Including Ningqing and Qianqian, there were only 8 people. Si Chen Qiutian had just sat down with Ningqing and the others when a dazzling figure landed on the giant altar in front of them. When Ningqing saw this person, he felt a little puzzled because the person standing on the platform was just a teenager. On the surface, this teenager looked even younger than his age. However, Ningqing's heart immediately turned cold. Apart from Ancestor Kong, whom he had saved in the past, and the old man from the mysterious Crossing Ancient clan, he couldn't see through this teenager's cultivation. The only thing he could feel was that this teenager's Dao charm was boundless and boundless. Chapter 1068. This youth, dressed in luxurious robes, didn't look like an expert. However, Ningqing knew that this was a true expert. The youth stood on the giant altar and gave a pill master's salute to everyone on the Alchemy Dao public square. Thank you, the top pill masters of the 5 great realms, for coming here to participate in the 5 realms pill competition. I'm Wuxia, the head of the Great Change Realms pill gathering and the initiator of the 5 realms pill competition. Wuxia's words attracted a burst of cheers. He was young and handsome, had a high cultivation, and was the #1 in the pill Dao. He was also the head of the pill gathering in the Great Change Realm. If there was a star here, then Wuxia was undoubtedly one of the superstars of the Great Change Realm. In fact, every time Wuxia appeared, it would attract a lot of cheers. Perhaps it wasn't to chase after a star, but Wuxia's achievements were enough to convince anyone. This kind of cheers represented a kind of recognition, a kind of pursuit and yearning. Wuxia smiled and spoke calmly. For this 5 realms pill competition, we are fortunate to have invited Luiying Dao Court's pill minister Zhong Hongbai, Cloudlight Dao Court's pill minister Pu Lao, Jade Pure Dao Court's pill sage Chen Yingxin, Great Mystery Dao Court's pill sage Li Mo, and Covering Space Dao Sect's left protector master Si Zhe. Apart from that, there are also the heads of the pill gathering from the 5 great realms, and the various Dao Court city lords. With Wuxia's words, a few figures landed on the judging panel. Si Chen Qiutian, who sat next to Ningqing, also stood up and walked to the judging panel. As the head of the pill gathering, Si Chen Qiutian was qualified to sit on the judging panel. Ningqing felt secretly shocked. He knew the strength of Lu Dongzi, Kong Lianbua, and the middle-aged scholar Lu Fengzhen, who was also a powerhouse. However, Wuxia didn't even have the qualifications to say their names. Apart from the 5 great Dao courts and 3 great Dao sects, those who could be called out by Wuxia definitely wouldn't be weak. Ningqing soon realized that he wasn't wrong. Among those sitting on the judging panel, there were at least 7 or 8 people who weren't any weaker than mysterious fairy ancient clans Li Feng. However, Ningqing also knew that the experts sitting on the judging panel of the 5 realms pill competition weren't the strongest in the entire Great Change Realm. In fact, they couldn't even rank in the top few. The reason why they were able to sit here, other than representing their respective forces, was that they were slightly more outstanding in terms of alchemy. The Grand Change Realm truly deserved to be a grand world with the most complete heaven and earth laws. Even the Grand Essence realm couldn't compare to the Grand Change realm in terms of strength. Many years have passed since the start of the 5 Realms pill competition. Although some talented alchemists have emerged in my 5 grand realms over the years, to be honest, I have never found an alchemist that can truly surpass me. This is my sorrow, and also the sorrow of my 5 grand realms. When Wuxia said this, the square seemed to be affected and the cheers quietened down. Ningqing whispered to Qianqian beside him. Qianqian, do you know what's going on? Qianqian quickly explained. Senior Mu is the premier pill sage of the 5 grand realms. His attainment in the alchemy Dao has already reached the peak of the 5 grand realms. Even with Senior Mu's high attainment in the alchemy Dao, I heard that he lost to others. Senior Mu made a vow that if the 5 grand realms couldn't find an alchemist that could compete with him, he would never leave the 5 grand realms again. Because of this, Senior Mu decided to hold the 5 realms pill competition. As a result, the 5 realms pill competition has been held many times, but Senior Mu has never taken a fancy to an alchemist and brought him out to compete in the alchemy Dao. Everyone in the Grand Change realm knows about this. Big brother Ning, you're not from the Grand Change realm, so it's normal that you don't know about it. Ningqing felt secretly horrified. Lu Dongsa and Kong Lianbua's attainments in the alchemy Dao were top-notch. They had to be primordial chaos pill sages. Wuxia's attainments in the alchemy Dao should have far surpassed Lu Dongsa and Kong Lianbua. If even Wuxia's attainments in the alchemy Dao couldn't compare to the other party, then just how powerful was the other party's attainments in the alchemy Dao? Wuxia continued in a low voice. Originally, we planned to use the alchemy Dao to determine the winner of this pill competition. But after listening to the Grand Beginning Realm Pill Association's Association Master Lu Dongsa, and the Grand Essence Realm's Alchemy Master Ningqing, I came up with a new idea. We will decide the winner of this pill competition in 3 rounds, and the first round will also be decided through identification. To prevent outstanding alchemists like Ningqing from not being able to recognize them, we won't use names to determine the winner this time. Instead, we'll use the functions of each alchemist to determine the winner. At this point, Wuxia paused and glanced at the alchemists who were about to participate in the pill competition before continuing. Unlike before this time, we don't need to directly identify divine grasses. Instead, we need to identify divine grasses or Dao fruit seeds. If you can't identify them in the first round, no matter how high your attainments in the alchemy Dao are, you will be directly eliminated. After listening to Wuxia's words, the alchemists participating in the pill competition started talking about it in confusion. Some people had high attainments in the alchemy Dao, but because of their lack of knowledge and experience, they were eliminated. If they couldn't identify a rare divine grass seed, would they be directly eliminated? Would such a selection be fair? Ningqing also felt a little puzzled about this selection. If he hadn't seen the universe plants and vegetation, his knowledge and experience would have been the lowest. But Ningqing never thought that his attainments in the alchemy Dao were the lowest. His knowledge and experience were low, because he had only been exposed to the alchemy Dao for a short time. He didn't have the opportunity to come into contact with a top-grade alchemy Dao divine scroll, like the universe plants and vegetation. Wuxia didn't change because of the discussions. He still spoke in a calm voice. The Dao of Alchemy is also one of the grand Daos of heaven and earth. Many people here should know what the second spirit technique of the 10 grand spirit techniques in the vast universe is, right? That's right. The second spirit technique of the 10 grand spirit techniques is the grand fate spirit technique. We can also call it fate. If a cultivator in the Dao of Alchemy doesn't have enough fate, then no matter how talented they are in the Dao of Alchemy, their achievements would be limited. Cultivators like us cannot fathom fate. But there are indeed people who can surpass fate and control their fate in their own hands. So what if they can control each other's fate? My master once told me that if I meet a powerhouse who can control someone else's fate, I should run as far as I can. But in a world without a powerhouse who can control fate, the fate of alchemists would be controlled by the heavenly Dao. If you don't even have the fate to touch a top-grade alchemy Dao divine scroll, then how can you talk about reaching the peak of the Dao of Alchemy? Ningqing initially didn't think much of it, and felt that Wuxia's questions were unfair to many people. But after listening to Mu Zhuoxiao's words, he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. Even if he had the mysterious yellow bead, so what if he was powerful? If he met a powerhouse who could control a spirit technique like fate, he wouldn't even be considered as an ant. Mu Zhuoxiao's words weren't wrong at all. Even if he didn't meet a powerhouse who could control fate, he couldn't control his own fate. The heavenly Tao controlled it. Cultivating until now, struggling until now, he was still just a small chess piece. Maybe he had an opportunity, maybe he met the mysterious yellow bead, and almost perfected his mysterious yellow bead with luck. But this was all his fate. Once he used up all his fate, what would happen to him? Even if he still had his karmic luck, what could he do if he met an expert who could control fate and seize all of his karmic luck? Ning Cheng's mind no longer focused on the pill meat. The first time he heard that the second spirit technique was the Grand Fate spirit technique, his heart completely lost balance. No matter how strong the Fate spirit technique is, it is not the first spirit technique in the primal chaos universe. The person who controls the Fate spirit technique also walks step by step like us. Your fate is not in what you want to do, but in how you are prepared to do it. Pill Master Ning has amazing talent. Why bother with a trivial fate? When you are ready to do it, your fate is already in your hands. A gentle and soft voice fell into Ning Cheng's ears. Ning Cheng felt as if he was suddenly enlightened and instantly sobered up. That's right, because he had the mysterious yellow bead. He worried about gains and losses. Didn't those who didn't have the mysterious yellow bead do what they wanted to do? One day in the future, he would also be able to control his fate. Ning Cheng's mind calmed down. Only then did he remember the person who helped him with his Tao heart. He subconsciously looked back. Then he saw Nianyan with a smile on her face. Nianyan sat behind him and nodded at him with a smile. Ning Cheng nodded at Nianyan gratefully. He didn't understand how Nianyan recognized him, but he didn't put up much of a guard against Nianyan. No longer worried about encountering a Fate spirit technique powerhouse, Ning Cheng once again listened to Mu Zhuoxiao's words. Although Mu Zhuoxiao didn't say much, Ning Cheng still felt that Mu Zhuoxiao was as vast and unfathomable as the sea. Now the Five Realms Pill competition officially begins. All participating alchemists, please come to the stage. Grand Change Realm Pill Meets Deputy Association Head Kong Lianbo will set the questions and preside over this pill competition. After Mu Zhuoxiao finished speaking, his figure flashed slightly, and he immediately sat in the middle of the judge's seat behind the giant altar. Ning Cheng stood up and walked up to the giant altar with the other participants from the Grand Essence Realm. After sitting down in the Grand Essence Realm's alchemist's area on the giant altar, Ning Cheng discovered that more than 300 people participated in the first round of the Five Realms Pill competition. Out of more than 300 people, the Grand Essence Realm only got 6 spots. One of them was won by him and Lu Dongsa in an alchemy duel. One had to say that this was the sorrow of the Grand Essence Realm's alchemists. In fact, on the giant altar, only 5 people sat in the Grand Essence Realm's area. Even compared to the Grand Ultimate Realm, it was still a pitiful number. Everyone had already gotten used to it. After all, the Grand Essence Realm always had the least number of participants in each pill competition. After the alchemists sat down, Kong Lianbo walked up to the giant altar and said in a clear voice, "The top 10 of this pill competition will be given the Five Realms Pill Sage Identity Card, which will give you the qualification to open a cave in the sacred Cloud Mountain." Ning Cheng didn't know the benefits of the Five Realms Pill Sage Identity Card, nor did he know what it meant to open a cave in the sacred Cloud Mountain. But the other alchemists knew about it. With the Five Realms Pill Sage Identity Card, it meant that one could walk unhindered in the Grand Change Realm. Except for a few powerhouses, no one would dare to point fingers at you. For example, if Ning Cheng had the Five Realms Pill Sage Identity Card, even if Lu Fangzhen had 10,000 times the courage, he wouldn't dare to order Ning Cheng. The Sacred Cloud Mountain was the Pill Meat's premier cultivation sacred land, and one of the top 10 cultivation sacred lands in the Grand Change Realm. It wasn't much weaker than the Luiying Dao Pavilion's Dao Crossing Pond. Opening a cave in the Sacred Cloud Mountain was the dream of every cultivator in the Grand Change Realm. Chapter 1069. In addition to the above rewards, the third place will be rewarded with 2 high-grade God Spirit veins and 10 Dao Essence Dao fruits. The second place will be rewarded with 5 high-grade God Spirit veins, 10 Dao Essence Dao fruits, and 1 Primordial Essence Dao fruit. The first place will be rewarded with 10 high-grade God Spirit veins, 10 Primordial Essence Dao fruits, and 2 Primordial Essence Dao fruits. In addition, the first place will be rewarded with a wood-attributed top-grade God Spirit vein. Kong Liembua's words made Ningqing secretly marvel at the wealth of this pill association. Sure enough, the first place would be rewarded with a wood-attributed God Spirit vein, but it was just one of the many rewards. In fact, Kong Liembua didn't say one more thing. In addition to the above rewards and glory, the first place might also get a chance to discuss alchemy with Wuxia. After talking about the rewards, when everyone quieted down a little, Kong Liembua continued. Next, the first round of the pill competition, seed identification. The time limit is 1 day. After Kong Liembua finished speaking, a transparent restriction rose around all the alchemists. The rise of this restriction meant that spiritual consciousness couldn't be released outside, nor could it penetrate inside. After the restriction rose, a Longan-sized jet-black seed appeared on the transmission platform in front of Ningqing. Ningqing picked up the seed and saw a faint Dao charm circulating around the seed. It seemed to contain a Dao charm aura that could dissipate at any time. When Ningqing saw this seed, he secretly felt that it was a close call because he recognized this seed. To be precise, he recognized this seed after reading about the universe vegetation. If not for Lu Dong's universe vegetation, Ningqing felt sure that he would have been eliminated in the first round. For ordinary divine grasses, Ningqing might have been able to deduce their effects in a day. This seed, even if Ningqing's mysterious yellow formless grew even more powerful, it would not be able to deduce the effects of the divine grasses that it would grow into in just 1 day. Not to mention 1 day. Even if it took many years, Ningqing estimated that he would not be able to do it. This was a Dao fruit seed. The name of this Dao fruit was a bit strange, called half-blooming epiphyllum. The Dao fruit produced by this seed not only contained the Dao charm of the 5 elements between heaven and earth, but it would also give rise to other law attributes such as the Dao charm of wind, thunder, ice, and other attributes. However, these law attributes were like short-lived epiphyllum and would disappear in a short time. To say that it was short-lived was an exaggeration. In fact, the law attributes only appeared for a short time. The ephemeral epiphyllum Dao fruit was a primordial Dao fruit, and its only use was to refine the heaven and earth epiphyllum pill. The half-blooming epiphyllum wasn't the most precious Dao Essence Dao pill, but it was definitely one of the most difficult Dao Essence Dao pills to refine. The main role of this Dao pill was based on the user's perception at the time, which was somewhat similar to Ningqing's mysterious yellow formless. For example, when you consume it and you are trying to break through to Dao Essence Divine Emperor, this Dao pill can help you understand Dao Essence Heaven and Earth laws. Dao and Essence to the Dao. To 2, and if it Essence to Dao to the Dao, then to Dao to Essence Dao into 2. If you are trying to gain insight into some kind of divine ability while consuming the Dao pill, the Celestial Empyrean Flower pill can also enhance your understanding of that divine ability. It wasn't difficult to obtain the seed of the half-blooming epiphyllum, but it was extremely difficult to refine the heaven and earth ephemeris pill. Even if the half-blooming epiphyllum was preserved, it couldn't be used to refine the heaven and earth ephemeris pill. The main Dao fruit of the heaven and earth ephemeris pill was the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit. To refine the heaven and earth ephemeris pill, one had to cultivate this Dao fruit on the spot. Then, the moment the Dao runes of the half-blooming epiphyllum disappeared, one had to send it into the cauldron to refine the heaven and earth ephemeris pill. From this, one could see the difficulty of refining this elixir. First, cultivating the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit wasn't something ordinary people could do. Not only did one need to cultivate it with natural treasures, but one also needed to have an extremely experienced grasp of the heaven and earth law Dao runes. A slight mistake would cause the Dao fruit to wither. Second, refining the heaven and earth ephemeris pill was also very difficult. The half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit contained the Dao runes of the 5 elements. It could also produce the Dao runes of wind, thunder, ice and other attributes when it matured. This required the alchemist to control the Dao fruit's Dao runes. Because of this, almost no one could refine the Heaven and Earth Ephemeris pill with complete Dao fruit's Dao runes. The Heaven and Earth Ephemeris pill that contained more than 2 Dao fruits Dao runes was already considered a success. Even if most alchemists could cultivate the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit, they couldn't refine the Heaven and Earth Ephemeris pill. They couldn't grasp the moment when the Dao runes of the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit dissipated. In other words, they couldn't grasp the Dao runes of the Dao fruit that were about to disappear. Ningqing took out a jade strip and engraved everything he knew into it. He guessed that the second round of the competition would be about refining the Heaven and Earth Ephemeris pill. A day passed by quickly, and Kong Lianbo appeared on the giant altar again. Alchemists, the first round of the competition has ended. Alchemists, please place your jade strips on the transmission platform in front of you and teleport to the judges' seats. Ningqing placed his jade strip on the transmission platform. He was sure that he could pass the first round. The first round's evaluation wasn't subjective. Whether one understood it or not, one would know it just by looking at the jade strip. In less than an hour, the results came out. According to the alchemist's understanding of the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit, Ningqing scored 67 points out of 100, ranking him 46th. Ningqing didn't feel surprised about this ranking because he didn't write down the cultivation method of the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit, or how to control it during alchemy. There were many cultivation methods for the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao. The reason why Ningqing didn't write them down was that his method was a bit different. As for how to control it during alchemy, Ningqing didn't write it down. His Dao of alchemy was different from others. He could get more points if he wrote it down, but if the judges were picky, they would say that his cultivation method was different from what was written on the jade strip. Although he had his reasons, he wasn't in the mood to explain these things. What's more, Ningqing knew that the deciding round of this pill competition wouldn't be the first round, but the second and third rounds. A total of 52 alchemists successfully passed the first round, with the highest score being 98 points. Moreover, it wasn't just one alchemist, but 3 alchemists with 98 points. Ningqing ranked 46th, which was a bit behind. A ranking appeared on the huge screen over the square. Only 52 people entered the second round. The elimination rate was a bit too high. Apart from Ningqing, who entered the second round, there was another person from the Grand Essence realm, Lu Shizhen. Lu Shizhen not only entered the second round, but her score was even higher than Ningqing's, ranking 41st. Lu Dongzi frowned slightly when he saw Ningqing's ranking. According to Ningqing's question, Ningqing should have already seen the effects of the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit. As long as Ningqing saw it, Ningqing would definitely enter the top 10. So why did he only score 67 points? The eliminated alchemists came down from the giant altar, leaving only 52 alchemists on the giant altar. Kong Lianbo spoke up again. The first round of the pill competition is over. Now the second round of the pill competition will begin. A total of 52 alchemists will participate in the second round of the pill competition. The second round of the pill competition is for refining the Heaven and Earth ephemeral flower pill. Each alchemist will have a transmission platform in front of them. In addition to the half-blooming epiphyllum seed, if you need any divine grasses, you can engrave your needs on the jade strip beside the transmission platform. The second round of the pill competition will last for a month, and it starts now. Sure enough, to refine the Heaven and Earth ephemeral flower pill, one had to cultivate the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit to refine this pill. Cultivating the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit for a month was definitely a challenge. Ningqing had read about the Dao fruit of the ephemeral flower in the book, Interspatial Vegetation. According to it, the shortest time to cultivate the Dao fruit of the ephemeral flower was 1 month. Since this pill competition only required 1 month, it meant that this pill competition not only had high requirements for the Dao of alchemy, but it also required a high understanding of the laws of heaven and earth. The stronger one's understanding of the laws of heaven and earth, the stronger one's Dao charm would be. As for the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit, the clearer the 5-element Dao charm, the faster it would mature. Ningqing casually refined a simple clay pot with some soil, and put it into the pot with some soil from the mysterious yellow bead. This competition only gave out a seed and nothing else, which indirectly showed that any alchemist could use their own methods to cultivate the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit. Ning Cheng then planted the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit into the pot. Ning Cheng then took out some water from the mysterious yellow bead and watered it. This time, cultivating the half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit depended on one's own spirit techniques. Even if you used the breath soil to cultivate it, it was still your own ability. Wuxia had already made this point clear. One's own opportunities and luck were also a kind of ability. Just 3 days later, Ning Cheng's half-blooming epiphyllum seed sprouted. This pill competition was open to everyone. Although the place where Ning Cheng and the others stood had restrictions restricting spiritual consciousness, the cultivators watching from under the altar could clearly see everyone's every move while cultivating the Dao fruit. Ning Cheng's half-blooming epiphyllum seed germinated in 3 days. The first alchemist to cultivate the half-blooming epiphyllum seed took only 2.5 days to germinate. Ning Cheng's speed wasn't slow either. Among all the participating alchemists, his seed was the third to germinate. Because of the restrictions, the cultivators watching from outside couldn't see whose half-blooming epiphyllum seed's Dao charm was stronger. But considering that Ning Cheng only ranked 46th in the first round, coupled with Wuxia mentioning Ning Cheng before the pill competition, many people's eyes still fell on Ning Cheng. After the half-blooming epiphyllum seed germinated, it was somewhat similar to the bestowing lawless fruit, and required various laws of heaven and earth to cultivate. Unlike the bestowing lawless fruit, the half-blooming epiphyllum seed didn't devour the laws of heaven and earth. Instead, it grew under the influence of various laws of heaven and earth. Ning Cheng had the law-breaking spirit technique, and his understanding of the laws of heaven and earth wasn't weak. Therefore, at this time, he continued to infuse his understanding of the laws of the great Tao into the half-blooming epiphyllum seed. 10 days later, Ning Cheng felt the difference between him and the top alchemists. In just 10 days, his half-blooming epiphyllum seed had only grown a foot. However, the half-blooming epiphyllum seed would only bear fruit after a meter. In other words, by the time his half-blooming epiphyllum seed bore fruit, a month would have already passed. As for the powerful alchemists, the half-blooming epiphyllum seed's Dao fruit was almost a meter long. Chapter 1070. However, Ning Cheng calculated in his heart that if he wanted to cultivate the half-blooming epiphyllum, there was only one way, and that was to use the chaos chi of the 5 elements. However, the value of the 5 elemental chaos energy far exceeded the value of the 5 elemental chaos energy. Even if he obtained first place, the rewards would not necessarily be as valuable as the 5 elemental chaos energy. What's more, the fleeting epiphyllum cultivated with the 5 elements primal chaos chi would definitely contain a trace of primal chaos origin energy. Even if it was refined into a pill, experts would still be able to sense it. Seeing that the gains were not proportional to the effort, Ning Cheng immediately dispelled the idea of using the 5-element chaos chi. If he didn't use the 5-elemental chaos chi, he would have to use another method. Otherwise, he might not even be able to cultivate the epiphyllum Dao fruit after a month. Ning Cheng took out a dozen wood origin crystals and put them into the pot with the half-blooming epiphyllum. Although wood origin crystals were precious, they couldn't compare to the 5-elemental chaos chi. He happened to have quite a few of these things. Sure enough, after integrating the wood origin crystal, Ning Cheng's half-blooming epiphyllum grew much faster. Coupled with the integration of Ning Cheng's Dao charm laws, Ning Cheng's short-blooming epiphyllum finally grew to about 1 meter after 20 days. The epiphyllum had 5 leaves of different colors. When it grew to 1 meter, a 5-colored flower appeared on top of it. Under the nourishment of Ning Cheng's Dao charm of various attributes, the 5-colored flower became even more vibrant. The name of the half-blooming epiphyllum was reflected at this moment. This 5-colored flower only bloomed halfway. No matter how bright it was, it would not continue to bloom. At this moment, Ning Cheng didn't have the energy to watch other people's half-blooming epiphyllum. Since the half-blooming epiphyllum was about to bear fruit, He needed to have a better control over the attribute laws absorbed by the half-blooming epiphyllum. Ningqing focused 90% of his attention on the half-blooming epiphyllum. He had already prepared the auxiliary divine grasses for refining the heaven and earth epiphyllum pill a long time ago. Even if he didn't have a furnace, he had already taken it out. He was just waiting for the epiphyllum to bloom and the Dao fruit to ripen. He was ready to start refining pills at any time. As another 3 days passed by, Ningqing felt that something was wrong. His half-blooming epiphyllum seemed to have faded from its brightest color, and the half-blooming epiphyllum didn't even look like a Dao fruit. Ningqing's gaze swept out, only to find that a few pill masters' epiphyllum fruits were already the size of a child's fist. The other 2 alchemists had already started to concoct pills. No, there was something wrong with his cultivation. Ningqing once again recalled the words about the half-blooming epiphyllum in the universe's grasses and trees. The half-blooming epiphyllum absorbs the laws of heaven and earth, condenses the Dao charm, fuses yin and yang, and obtains the half-blooming epiphyllum fruit. Aside from adding the wood origin crystal, there shouldn't be any mistakes in the cultivation process. Ningqing suddenly thought of the fusion of yin and yang. Winter left and spring came. All living things revived. Flowers bloomed all over the ground, bees and butterflies bustled about. Ningqing almost wanted to slap his own head. He had already neglected the fact that solitary yin did not give birth to solitary yang. It would have been a strange thing if he could cultivate a Dao fruit. For any flower to bear fruit, it needs bees to deliver pollen. Although this Dao fruit didn't require bees to deliver pollen, the principle behind it was the same. Ningqing immediately began to integrate the Dao charm of the 5 elemental attributes between heaven and earth into the half-formed flower. Sure enough, after Ningqing integrated the Dao charm of the 5 elemental attributes into the flower instantly blossomed and then condensed. In a short period of time, the flower had turned into a green fruit. Streams of Dao aura lingered on the surface of the green fruit, and the 5 different colored leaves growing on the half-blooming epiphyllum gradually withered and disappeared. In just one day, only a colorful Dao fruit remained at the top of the 1-meter-tall half-blooming epiphyllum. The Dao charm flowed within it, and a faint Dao charm fragrance wafted over. Ningqing took in a deep breath and raised his hand to bring out the nameless flame. The half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit was about to mature. He wanted to put this Dao fruit into the pill furnace the moment it matured, and leave behind the Dao fruit's attribute Dao charm. Kacha, the 1-meter-tall half-blooming epiphyllum tree snapped, and the half-blooming epiphyllum fell from the sky. Ningqing didn't wait for the Dao fruit to fall to the ground. With a wave of his hand, the Dao fruit entered the furnace. At the same time, the nameless flame ignited under the furnace. The snowflake-like flame looked very beautiful inside the restrictions. The half-blooming epiphyllum Dao fruit began to melt, and the 5 elemental attribute laws changed again at this moment. It gave birth to the wind attribute, then to the thunder attribute, and then to the ice attribute. While Ningqing was in a daze, the time attribute and space attribute laws extended out. Ningqing grew anxious. The more law attributes appeared, the more difficult it would be for him to control them. He hurriedly threw the rest of the divine herbs into the pill furnace and quickly melted them. At the same time, he sent out a pill technique to wrap up the epiphyllum's half-revealed Dao fruit's attribute laws. Time passed slowly. At this point, all the pill refiners who were qualified to concoct the Heaven and Earth Dutchman pill were focused on concocting pills. Those who were incapable had already failed. An hour later, Ningqing directly threw out the dregs of his pill art and began to integrate the attribute laws of the epiphyllum's half-revealed Dao fruit. Ningqing had refined the 6-yin soul pill before, and during the process of refining the 6-yin soul pill, he finally understood the fit between the Dao of alchemy and his own Dao. He integrated the Dao of alchemy into the great Dao of coalescence, allowing his comprehension of the great Dao to reach a higher level. At the same time, his understanding of alchemy became more thorough. Now that he had fused with the nomological Dao runes of the epiphyllum flower's half-revealed Dao fruit, this kind of enlightenment was finally useful. Ningqing successfully integrated the 5 elemental nomological Dao runes into the Dao core. If it were an ordinary alchemist, the Heaven and Earth Dutchman who integrated the 5 elemental nomological Dao runes into the Heaven and Earth Dutchman pill would have already achieved great success. However, Ningqing didn't give up. His epiphyllum flower's half-revealed Dao fruit still contained the laws of wind, thunder, and ice. It even derived the laws of time and space. Unfortunately, Ningqing didn't have a thorough understanding of the laws of wind. Therefore, he made a mistake when he integrated the laws of wind into the Dao fruit. However, this didn't affect Ningqing's fusion of the laws of thunder and ice into the Dao core. Even so, Ningqing didn't give up. He once again integrated the Dao runes of the epiphyllum flower's half-revealed Dao fruit's Dao runes into the Dao core. Even if it was only a trace of the Dao runes, it was still a bargaining chip. Because of Ningqing's timely control over the half-appearing epiphyllum Dao fruit, the Dao fruit derived from the half-appearing epiphyllum Dao fruit. Except for the wind-attributed Dao charm, almost all the other Dao charm laws were integrated into Ningqing's Dao core. The most important and difficult part of refining a Dao core was to integrate the Dao runes of the Dao fruit. The ephemeral epiphyllum Dao fruit was different from other Dao fruits. It was a Dao fruit that could infinitely expand nomological Dao runes. It was a Dao fruit that could infinitely expand the Dao runes of the Dao fruit's laws. The difference was that the Dao core that integrated more Dao runes of the Dao fruit's laws would have a higher value. Ningqing's furnace of Dao pills contained 9 Dao runes of the Dao fruit's laws. One could say that it was the pinnacle of the Heaven and Earth ephemeral flower pill. After a few days of integrating the 9 Dao runes into the Dao core, the next steps didn't pose any challenge to Ningqing. Another hour later, Ningqing raised his hand and put away the 12 Dao cores. After refining the furnace of Heaven and Earth ephemeral flower pills, Ningqing finally had time to look at the others. Ningqing was slightly surprised to find that he was almost at the back of the entire assessment altar. Apart from him, only 2 other people were still refining pills. Most of the alchemists sat quietly in their seats. Some people had jade bottles of Dao pills, while others didn't. Ningqing guessed that those without jade bottles were alchemists who had failed. Ningqing calmly put away all his things and sat in his seat, waiting for the end of the second round. Seeing that Ningqing finally managed to complete his alchemy before the 1-month deadline, the people who were familiar with Ningqing all felt relieved. Although Lu Dongsa didn't care that he lost to Ningqing, he would still feel a little embarrassed if Ningqing couldn't even complete the second round. That meant that he, Lu Dongsa, couldn't do it. As the last hour passed, Kong Lianbo landed on the giant altar and said in a clear voice, "The second round of the pill competition has ended. All alchemists, please stop refining pills." As soon as his words fell, one of the alchemists pulled out several pills from his furnace and put them into a jade bottle. At the same time, he stopped. Another alchemist was still refining pills when a cloud of smoke erupted from his furnace. Apparently, he had failed. Kong Lianbo saw that all the alchemists had stopped refining pills and nodded. As an alchemist, in addition to talent and luck, the most important thing is confidence. There are a total of 52 alchemists participating in the second round. Some alchemists succeeded in refining the Heaven and Earth ephemeral pill, while others failed. Whether they succeed or fail, it doesn't matter. What matters is whether our confidence in the Tao of alchemy is still there. No alchemist can only succeed in refining pills without failure. Therefore, in this round, in addition to competing in the Tao of alchemy, there is also a competition of confidence. Ningqing didn't know how Kong Lianbo would compete in confidence, but he agreed with Kong Lianbo's words. The reason why Si Chen Qiutian's Tao of alchemy had cracks was because he had lost his confidence. Therefore, in the second round, we won't let the judges directly evaluate the Heaven and Earth ephemeral pill refined by the alchemists. Instead, we will let the alchemists stand up and evaluate the Tao pills they refined. Even if you fail and don't refine a single pill, you can still stand up and say that you can enter the top 10, as long as your reason is recognized by all the judges. Hearing Kong Lianbo's words, Ningqing secretly thought that Kong Lianbo was trying to recommend himself. At that time he didn't care. The Heaven and Earth ephemeral pill he refined was most likely to come in first. Even if it wasn't first, it wouldn't fall out of the top 3. Seeing that no one objected to his words, Kong Lianbo continued. Now let the judging begin. Alchemists, please evaluate the ranking of your Dao pills. If the Dao pill you refined is very good, but you don't dare to stand up and say anything, you will be directly eliminated. Ning Cheng understood that even if he refined the heaven and earth ephemeral pill that would definitely enter the top 3, if he didn't stand up and say anything, he would still be eliminated. Chapter 1071. A tall man stood up and bowed before saying loudly, I am Primordial Dao Alchemy Saint Qin Zishu from the Great Beginning Realm. I am confident that I can enter the top 10 with my Heaven and Earth Dutchman's Dao pill. After Qin Zishu sat down, a red-robed man stood up. His voice was extremely coarse. Grand Beginning Realm Dao Essence Alchemy Saint Tang Mo greets everyone. I am confident that I will be number 1 in this round of alchemy competition. Lu Dongsa nodded in satisfaction. In the entire primordial realm, Tang Mo was the strongest after his skill in alchemy. Tang Mo said that he was confident of getting first place in this round, which meant that his batch of Heaven and Earth Dutchman's pill was very successful. In fact, Lu Dongsa did not doubt Tang Mo's words. Even though he did not know how good Tang Mo's cauldron of Dao pills was, he had seen the epiphyllum Dao fruit that Tang Mo had cultivated. It was indeed one of the best. Ning Cheng also couldn't help but sigh. It was not that Tang Mo said that he was the first one to sigh, but the people who stood up all had higher cultivations than him. Qin Zishu was at the early stage primordial Dao, while Tang Mo was an early stage primordial chaos sacred emperor. I don't agree with alchemist Tang being number 1. I'm a primordial Dao alchemy saint from the Great Beginning Realm, Feng Shihao. I'm confident that I can get first place in this round. A skinny man with a pale face stood up and bowed in the manner of an alchemist. His tone was filled with great confidence. Tang Mo's expression was very ugly. He also knew the rules of this competition. Standing out to refute at this time would make him appear petty. Now it was a competition of confidence, and the final result would be determined by the judges. If you won in the end, it would boost your confidence. If you lost, it would be a huge blow to your confidence. The Great Change Realm's Mixed Yuan Pill Saint Yu Guji is the champion of this round, and the champion of this year's 5 Realms Pill competition. Another man stood up and said calmly. He was so calm as if he was talking about something that had already happened. This man looked delicate and handsome. His expression and eyes were very calm, without any hint of arrogance. However, his words were full of confidence. He didn't even say that he was confident. He directly said that he was the champion of this round. Before the 3rd round had even begun, he had already announced that he was also the champion of the 5 Realms Pill competition. It was as if it was only right and proper for him to get first place. It would be strange if he didn't. Ning Cheng was a little speechless. There was simply no such thing as modesty. Should he also say that he was first? If that was the case, there would be 4 firsts. The Great Change Realm's primordial Dao alchemy saint, Fu Shouhao, is confident of advancing to the top 10 in this round. Primordial Dao alchemy Saint Mo of the primordial beginning realm is confident of advancing to the top 10 in this round. Great Change Realm's Yin Juli. The Great Ultimate Realm's Yixingnan. As more and more people stood up, Ning Cheng counted, and found that the number of people had already exceeded 10. He couldn't help but sigh at the low level of the Grand Essence Realm's alchemy Dao. If he hadn't participated, no one would have stood up in the 2nd round. Ning Cheng stood up at this time. Grand Essence Realm's Ning Cheng can advance to the top 3 in this round's pill competition. Originally Ning Cheng also wanted to say that he could get the first place, but after thinking about it, he decided to give up on this statement. None of the alchemists here were weak, and there were even primordial chaos alchemy saints. He knew that the Heaven and Earth Dutchman pill could only condense more than 10 types of elemental laws. He had only condensed 9 of them. Besides, this competition of confidence was definitely not the main factor that decided the outcome. As for who could get the first place, it all depended on the medicinal pill. If one talked big, it wouldn't be confidence but bragging. Ning Cheng felt that this wasn't the best way to compete with Kong Lianbua's confidence. Real confidence in the alchemy Dao wasn't something that could be achieved with such confidence. Sure enough, when Ning Cheng said that he could advance to the top 3, It immediately attracted a lot of attention. Many people knew about the pill competition between Ningcheng and Lu Dongsa, but not many people knew about Ningcheng. What's more, Ningcheng was from the Grand Essence realm. The Grand Essence realm's alchemy Dao was recognized as the worst. Since when did an alchemist from the Grand Essence realm dare to say that he could enter the top 3? No way. When did an alchemist from the Grand Essence realm have such strength? Advance to the top 3? Someone suddenly asked. It should be that Ningcheng. Union Master Mu mentioned this alchemist before. He got the 46th place in the first round of the competition. Haha, 46th place in the first round, and now he's in the top 3 in the second round. I heard that he quibbled with Union Master Lu during the alchemy battle. He said that the Heavenly Fox double leaf scale was a dog's tail grass and finally won against Union Master Lu. It looks like he's going to have a war of words again. I'd like to see what kind of words he uses to turn a donkey into a horse and turn the 7th from the bottom into the 3rd. I feel sad for Feng Shihao from the Grand Beginning Realm, and Tang Mo from the Grand Beginning Realm. The first place in this pill competition is undoubtedly our Grand Change Realm's Pill Seiju. And the first place in the second round is also undoubtedly Pill Seiju. When the results are revealed, Tang Mo and Feng Shihao's confidence in the alchemy Dao will take a hit. Ehe, that's what I want to see. Coming from a boundary with incomplete laws, and wanting to win the first place. If others said that they were the first, no one would stand up to talk about it. But Ningcheng just said that he could get into the top 3, and many people felt uncomfortable talking about it. Seeing that no one stood up to speak, Kong Lianbo landed on the giant altar and said, "The pill refiners who didn't stand up to speak, please step down from the altar." After saying this, Kong Lianbo paused for a moment. He waited for all the pill refiners to leave before he continued. There were 52 participants in the second round of the pill competition. In the end, there were only 12 who had the confidence to stay on stage. Since we only need the top 10 in the second round, there are still 2 people who need to be eliminated. Now the 12 pill refiners, please put the medicinal pills you refined into the transmission platform, and wait for the judges to rate them. Everyone sent the Dao pills they refined into the transmission platform. Ningcheng also engraved his name on the jade bottle, and sent it into the transmission platform. At this moment, everyone in the alchemy Dao sect, whether it was the public square, the judges' seats or the pill refiners waiting on the stage, all of them quietened down. Everyone was waiting for the results. After half a day, Kong Lianbo once again stood on the stage and spoke with a clear voice. After the various judges, the top 10 have come out. Now, I will announce the names. One could say that the pill refiners participating in the great competition were looking forward to the results. Even if it was Ningcheng, he was also looking forward to how many places he could get. The only person who was not worried was probably Great Change Realm's Yuguji. Perhaps in his opinion, no matter what Kong Lianbo announced, first place would still be his. Great Change Realm CE scored 100 points. Great Beginning Realms Mo Lien scored 105 points. The Heaven and Earth ephemeral pills they refined contained 2 Dao fruit attribute laws. Great Beginning Realms Qin Zishu scored 200 points. Great Change Realms Helanhao scored 210 points. The Heaven and Earth ephemeral pills they refined contained 3 Dao fruit attribute laws. Great Change Realms Fu Shouhao scored 310 points. Yin Julie scored 315 points. The Heaven and Earth ephemeral pills they refined contained 4 Dao fruit attribute laws. Great Beginning Realms Tang Mo scored 500 points. The Heaven and Earth ephemeral pills he refined contained 6 Dao fruit attribute laws. The above 7 people successfully advanced to the top 10. When Kong Lianbo reported this, Tang Mo's face turned a little pale. This batch of Heaven and Earth ephemeral pills could be said to have exceeded his usual standards. Not only did it integrate the 5 elemental Dao runes of metal, wood, water, fire and earth, but it also integrated the ice elemental Dao runes. He thought that the Heaven and Earth ephemeral pills with 6 elemental Dao runes would definitely be first. He didn't expect to only get into the top 10. According to Kong Lianbo, he should be in 4th place. The difference between 4th place and 1st place was not small. It was good to have confidence, but his confidence seemed to have inflated a little. At that moment, Tang Mo's confidence in the alchemy Dao suffered a blow. Even he didn't notice it. Not only did Tang Mo's expression turn ugly, but Great Beginning Realms Feng Shihao's expression also turned a little ugly. He also felt that he would definitely get first place. Now that Tang Mo's Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill had only gotten fourth place, it meant that he definitely wouldn't get first place. This was because his Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill was only slightly better than Tang Mo's. He had integrated 7 types of Dao fruit attribute laws. Unless the other 2 people refined the same Dao pill as him, which also integrated 7 types of Dao fruit attribute laws, then they would compete on the quality of their Dao pills. As expected, Kong Lianbo continued. Great Beginning Realms Feng Shihao scored 610 points. He refined the Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill that integrated 7 types of Dao fruit attribute laws, and obtained third place in the second round. At this point, Kong Lianbo paused and looked at Yuguji. Yuguji had been the calmest since the beginning. He wasn't pretending to be calm. He was really calm. He believed that among the 5 great realms, besides the Great Change Realm Elixir Association Master Wuxia, no one else could be stronger than him in the alchemy Dao. Even if it was Wuxia, he would surpass him sooner or later. At that moment, Kong Lianbo didn't announce first place. Instead, he looked at him. This made Yuguji's heart skip a beat. He had a bad feeling. Before Yuguji could think further, Kong Lianbo's voice sounded. Great Change Realms Yuguji scored 760 points. He successfully integrated 8 types of Dao fruit attribute laws into the Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill, and obtained second place in the second round. The spectating cultivators were already in an uproar. The second round of the pill competition had been too exciting. Someone had actually refined a Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill that integrated 6 types of Dao fruit attribute laws. However, this wasn't first place. It wasn't even in the top 3. Soon, Kong Lianbo announced that Alchemy Sage Feng Shihao and Alchemy Sage Yuguji had refined the Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill that integrated 7 and 8 types of Dao laws respectively. The value of this Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill had long surpassed that of the primordial Dao pill. It was a pill that was hard to find. However, the 2 people who had refined such a precious Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill weren't first place. How heaven-defying was the first place? When Kong Lianbo announced the second place, Yuguji suddenly stood up. From his clenched fists, one could tell that he was extremely uneasy. Chapter 1072. It wasn't just Yuguji who couldn't keep calm. Most people couldn't understand what was going on. Yuguji had refined the Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill that contained 8 elemental Dao runes without any mistakes. Yet this Dao pill was ranked second. Who was first? Great Essence Realms Ningcheng scored 830 points. He refined the Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill that contained 9 elemental Dao runes and won first place in this round. Kong Lianbo nodded at Ningcheng. He hadn't misjudged Ningcheng. Ningcheng's potential was amazing. Ningcheng, a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor, could take first place in this pill competition. It was already heaven-defying for a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor to refine a primordial Dao pill, let alone first place. However, he wasn't too surprised. Ningcheng could create a Dao Nourishment Divine Pill's pill recipe in 6 days, which was an amazing thing in itself. If it were him, he wouldn't be able to do it either. How could an alchemy sage who could create a Dao Nourishment Divine Pill's pill recipe in 6 days refine a Heaven and Earth Ephemeral Pill with 9 elemental Dao runes in this round be considered strange? As Kong Lianbo announced that Ningcheng had won first place, the Alchemy Dao Sex Plaza quietened down, and everyone's eyes fell on Ningcheng. After a few breaths, the frenzied discussion started. Very few people doubted Kong Lianbo's words. No matter how bold Kong Lianbo was, he wouldn't dare to cheat in this pill competition. Moreover, Kong Lianbo only had the right to announce it, not the right to judge. What did it mean to become famous in one breath? Ningcheng became famous in one breath. No matter how Ningcheng performed in the 3rd round of the pill competition, he had already become famous. Many people stared at Ningcheng, thinking about how to build a relationship with him. What surprised them even more was that Ningqing only had a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor cultivation. In the Great Change realm, there were too many sects that could help a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor advance to a higher level in a short time. As long as Ningqing needed it, countless people would want Ningqing to go to the best place in their sect to cultivate. Lu Fengzhen, who was sitting on the side, looked horrified. He knew that Ningqing's alchemy Tao should be good. For example, Ningqing had advanced 46th place in the first round. However, he didn't expect Ningqing's alchemy Tao to be so terrifying that he could obtain 830 points in the second round. Adding up the total score of the 2 rounds, Ningqing was without a doubt the first. No wonder this person was so confident. When she wanted to take Qianqian away, he dared to let her go. Whether he wanted to take away Qianqian or not, he had to change the relationship between the Luiying Dao court and Ningqing. When he saw the Dao pill refined by Ningqing, Wuxia, who sat in the judge's seat, stood up in excitement. Since the start of the 5 Realms pill competition, this was the first time he had seen an alchemy Dao powerhouse like Ningqing. This was the kind of person he had been searching for. More importantly, Ningqing was only a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Once Ningqing advanced to the Primordial Essence Sacred Emperor stage, Ningqing's alchemy Dao would be immeasurable. Perhaps he had finally found a pill saint who could help him vent his anger. Fortunately, Wuxia's excitement quickly calmed down, and he allowed Kong Lianbo to announce the result. Guildmaster Kong, I'm not doubting Pill Master Ning's alchemy skills. It was because Alchemy Master Ning only had a Dao birth cultivation level. Even if he could barely refine primordial Dao pills, it would be very difficult for him to do so. Therefore, I would like to request that you take a look at Pill Master Ning's Heaven and Earth Dutch Flower Pill. Yu Guji finally calmed himself down and spoke to Kong Lianbo with cupped fists. Kong Lianbo said in a deep voice, if you want to see Pill Master Ningqing's Dao pill, you can. However, you need to seek Pill Master Ning's permission. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the right to see Pill Master Ning's Dao pill. Yu Guji knew the rules of the 5 Realms pill competition, so he looked at Ningqing. Ningqing didn't wait for Yu Guji to speak and took the initiative to speak. Pill Master, you can naturally see the pills I refine. However, I also want to see Pill Master use Dao pill. Yu Guji said proudly. That's natural. This batch of Heaven and Earth Dutch Flower pills contains the Dao runes of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, and ice. There are 12 completed pills, 6 special grade pills, and 6 high grade pills. Ningqing didn't talk nonsense with Yu Guji. He had failed to integrate the ice-attributed Dao runes, so he wanted to see how Yu Guji's Dao pill integrated the ice-attributed Dao runes. After a few breaths, Ningqing obtained a Dao pill refined by Yu Guji. Before his spiritual consciousness could sweep in, he heard Yu Guji say, Association Master Kong, I don't want a special grade Dao pill. Just give me a Dao pill below the special grade. Kong Lianbo smiled slightly. I'm afraid that's not possible. Why? Yu Guji frowned. He wanted to find the flaws in Ningqing's medicinal pills, which meant that he couldn't use a special grade medicinal pill. Kong Lianbo said calmly, because the 12 medicinal pills refined by Pill Master Ningqing are all special grade. What? Yu Guji's heart shook. His alchemy Dao heart, which had always been full of confidence, suddenly had a gap. An alchemy sage with Dao birth cultivation had actually refined 12 Heaven and Earth Dutch Flower pills that contain the Dao runes of 9 different attributes. This simply couldn't be described as heaven-defying. Yu Guji fell silent and didn't speak any more nonsense. Instead, his entire mind seeped into the Heaven and Earth Dutch Flower pills in his hand. However, the next moment he raised his head in shock and murmured, it actually fused the Dao runes of the spatial and time laws. How did you do it? If Ningqing had heard his words, he would have replied, this isn't the alchemy Dao, but my primordial transformation Dao. When I cultivated the half-appearing epiphyllum, I infused it with the laws of time and space. My primordial transformation Dao contains the alchemy Dao. Can your Dao do it? Ningqing looked at the medicinal pill in his hand and praised it. From this medicinal pill, he could tell that Yu Guji's alchemy Dao level wasn't any weaker than his. The Dao runes that were infused were extremely clear. Of course, This was also because Yuguji had spent a lot of money to achieve it. If he was willing to spend that kind of money, he could also achieve this. He also understood why he had fused the Dao runes of 9 different attributes and refined special-grade Dao pills. However, he had only scored 70 points more than Yuguji instead of 100 points. After half an incense stick's worth of time, Kong Lianbo took back the 2 Dao pills and asked, "Pill Master Yu, do you have anything else to say?" Yuguji sighed. Pill Master Ning can integrate the laws of time and space into the heaven and earth epiphyllum pill. Even if it's just a trace, it's still better than my Dao pills. Kong Lianbo nodded and looked at Ning Cheng. Pill Master Ning, what do you think? Ning Cheng replied honestly, when it comes to the Dao runes of the laws, I have one more than Pill Master Yu. But when it comes to the value of refining the Dao pills, my medicinal pills aren't as valuable as his. Ning Cheng spoke the truth because Yuguji was willing to spend a lot of money. This fellow actually had the 5-element chaos chi. Not only that, but he also used the 5-element chaos chi to cultivate the half-appearing epiphyllum Dao fruit. Because Ning Cheng had the 5-element chaos chi, he could see this from Yuguji's medicinal pills. He could also see that Yuguji's 5-element chaos chi wasn't complete, and only contained 2 or 3 of the 5 elements. Not bad. Pill Master Ning has a unique vision. The value of the medicinal pills refined by Pill Master Yu is indeed higher than the value of your medicinal pills. However, the level of your Dao pills has already surpassed Pill Master Yu. A very appreciative voice sounded. Everyone could see that the speaker was Wuxia, the first person of the 5 Realms pill competition. Ning Cheng taking first place in this round was one thing, but what made Wuxia look at him in a different light was Ning Cheng's shrewd vision. If Yuguji had not swallowed the medicinal pills, some primordial chaos experts might not have been able to see that the half-appearing epiphyllum fruit in Yuguji's medicinal pills was cultivated with the 5-element chaos chi. Sitting in a corner of the judging panel, Sichin Qiutian still couldn't believe that Ning Cheng had taken first place in the second round. This was simply beyond his expectations. It wasn't until many people came to greet him, and even Wuxia took the initiative to speak to him, that he truly understood that Ning Cheng had really taken first place in this round. At this moment, he was full of smiles as he exchanged greetings with the surrounding pill sages and experts from the great Dao courts. One had to know that in the past pill competitions, no one had paid attention to Sichin Qiutian from the beginning to the end. He had come here just to go through the motions. Basically, he had been accompanying people from the start of the competition until the end. Lu Dongsa sat next to Sichin Qiutian and laughed loudly as he said something to a city lord next to him. After laughing, he said, "Brother Su is overpraising me. After all, I lost to Pill Sage Ning. A loss is a loss. There's no reason to blame me." The sacred emperor, whom he addressed as Brother Su, said sternly, "With Pill Sage Ning's alchemy Dao standards, who would dare not lose? I guess only Brother Mu can say such words. Previously, I thought that Union Master Lu did not live up to his name. Now it seems that I was just a frog in a well. I heard that Pill Sage Ning and Union Master Lu are brothers. I hope that Union Master Lu can introduce me to Pill Sage Ning after the competition." Lu Dongsa laughed again and said, "Well said, well said." Kong Lianbo waited for the noise inside and outside the venue to die down a little before continuing with a clear voice. The 2 rounds of the 5 Realms pill competition are over. Ning Cheng is temporarily ranked first, Yuguji is temporarily ranked second, and Feng Shihao is temporarily ranked third. Now we will proceed to the final round of this pill competition, the deciding round. Both the stage and the stage turned completely silent. After the second round of the pill competition, Ning Cheng had obtained first place. However, everyone knew that this first place was not safe at all. The gap of a few dozen points could be overtaken at any time. The deciding round is still about alchemy. This time, the Dao pill is the Heavenly Heaven pill. Kong Lianbo's words attracted a burst of discussion before he finished. In a top-notch pill competition like the 5 Realms pill competition, refining a Heavenly Heaven pill was not a joke, right? Even Ning Cheng was puzzled. The Heavenly Heaven pill was not a difficult pill to refine. One could even say that a primordial Dao pill sage could refine such a pill. If they were to compete in this kind of Dao pill, then everyone would be able to refine a batch of special grade pills. The third round would be too easy. Kong Lianbua still spoke up calmly. The only difference is that this time we will be refining the heavenly heaven pill in a new space. There are no laws in this space. Ningqing froze. If it were any other medicinal pill, then it would have been fine. But he had studied the heavenly heaven pill before. Even he couldn't refine the heavenly heaven pill in the grand essence realm, where the laws were incomplete. Refining the heavenly heaven pill in a place without any laws. Wasn't it just a joke? Did he really have to use the 5-element chaos chi? Moreover, this time's pill refining will depend on your own ability. You are not allowed to add any law aura that does not belong to the pill recipe. Kong Lianbua's words directly dispelled Ning Cheng's thoughts. Chapter 1073. Ning Cheng saw that the other 9 pill masters had a puzzled look on their faces, as if they could not figure out why Kong Lianbua had come up with such a topic, causing him to sigh with emotion in his heart. Looking at the expressions of these alchemists, it was clear that these alchemists in the top 10 all knew that the heavenly heaven pill couldn't be refined in a place with incomplete laws, but he still wanted to ask Si Chen Chiu Tian. Situ Chen's Chiu Tian, on the other hand, had failed 51 batches of heavenly pills in a row before barely reaching this conclusion. This was the gap between them. If he hadn't gotten the chance to look at the universe flora, would he have been able to get to where he was now? Now, I will place the divine herbs required to refine the heavenly heaven pill in front of you pill refiners. Pill refiners, please count the divine herbs required for the heavenly heaven pill. In a while, the pill competition altar's surroundings would be locked by a spatial magic treasure. All the alchemists on the pill competition platform will not be able to sense the aura of the laws of heaven and earth. After Kong Lianbua finished speaking, he waved his hand, and piles of divine grasses appeared in front of the 10 alchemists. Ning Qing estimated that he would lose miserably in this round. He helplessly looked at Sire Chen Qiutian. Sire Chen Qiutian gave him a nod as a sign of encouragement. Ning Cheng then looked at Qianqian. If he couldn't get the first place, then his status would not be as high as he had imagined. At that time, it would be much more difficult for him to help Qianqian. When Qianqian saw Ning Cheng looking at her, she also made an encouraging gesture. Ning Cheng nodded, and his eyes inadvertently fell on Nianyan's body. Nianyan suddenly shook her head at Ning Cheng, then closed her eyes and turned her head. Ning Cheng retracted his gaze and looked at the pile of divine grasses in front of him. What did Nianyan mean by this? Was he telling him not to worry? Ning Cheng also did not think much about it. He estimated that he would not be able to obtain the first position. Looking at the pile of divine grasses in front of him, Ning Cheng picked up the Heaven Essence Dao fruit and thought about how to refine this furnace of Heaven Essence heavenly pills. Even if he failed, he could still get some points for the process. When he picked up the Heaven Essence fruit, he found that there was a branch that emitted a faint light under the Heaven Essence fruit. It seemed that nothing could land on this branch. This branch was born to not be stained by dust. Is this a dustless branch? Ning Cheng put down the Heaven Essence fruit in shock and picked up the dustless branch. If he hadn't seen the plants in the universe, he wouldn't have known what a dustless branch was. But now, Ning Cheng had a very clear understanding of the dustless branch. Among this pile of divine herbs, the most precious one was neither the Heaven Essence fruit nor the Extreme Yin Sacred fruit, but this dustless branch. Back when he and Lu Dongsa battled, Kong Lianbua took out a divine herb called the Sakya flower. The Sakya flower was very precious because it was a non-elemental divine herb. The dustless branch was somewhat similar to the Sakya flower, but it was many times more precious than the Sakya flower. This was because not only did the dustless branch not have any attributes, but it also did not contain any laws. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that if he could obtain such a spiritual item, he could use his own Dao Rhyme aura to nurture the dustless branch again. This way, the dustless branch would have the elemental law Dao Rhyme that he needed. The Heavenly Qianyuan Pill's pill recipe originally didn't have the dustless branch. Could it be that the pill competition added the dustless branch to the Heavenly Qianyuan Pill's pill recipe, so that pill refiners could cultivate the heavenly Qianyuan pills laws of heaven and earth, and then add these laws of heaven and earth into the heavenly Qianyuan pill? That must be the case. Otherwise, how could the heavenly pill be refined? In other words, the first and second rounds of the competition had a purpose. The purpose of nurturing the half-blooming epiphyllum was to lay the foundation for the third round. If one couldn't even nurture the half-blooming epiphyllum, then participating in the third round would just be a waste of the dustless branch. Because nurturing the dustless branch was much more complicated than nurturing the half-blooming epiphyllum. The half-blooming epiphyllum only needed to nurture it with the laws of heaven and earth. However, the dustless branch could nurture divine grasses with different laws of heaven and earth according to the cultivator's Tao laws. Not only did it require the cultivator to integrate their own laws of heaven and earth, but it also required the cultivator to transform the laws of heaven and earth into the laws of heaven and earth. To put it simply, the dustless branch was like a blank piece of paper. You could draw the laws of heaven and earth that you needed according to the cultivation method. The dustless branch also had another characteristic, that is, it could store all kinds of laws of heaven and earth for a short time. So the third round was actually like this. Ningqing felt slightly relieved. In his heart, he secretly admired the organizer's courage to take out so many dustless branch at once. With his ability, it would be a bit difficult to nurture the laws of heaven and earth that he needed with the dustless branch. This was because his cultivation was limited. However, the dustless branch gave him a new idea. He had refined the heaven essence heavenly pill before. As for why the heaven essence heavenly pill needed a place with complete laws of heaven and earth, he also understood. The primordial Tao realm and the Tao transformation realm were two completely different things. The heaven essence heavenly pill was a Tao pill that allowed Tao transformation holy emperors to comprehend the laws of primordial Tao realm. Therefore, it naturally had very low requirements for the laws of heaven and earth. He couldn't use the dustless branch to nurture the laws of heaven and earth that the heaven essence heavenly pill required. However, he could use the dustless branch as a medium, and use his returning to one Tao to arrange a small space of laws of heaven and earth in his pill furnace. As long as this space contained all kinds of laws of heaven and earth, he could refine the heaven essence heavenly pill. For others, this might be several times more difficult than nurturing the dustless branch that contained the laws of heaven and earth. However, this was not the case for him. His mysterious yellow bead was a world with supreme laws. Since cultivating the mysterious yellow formless, his control over the laws of heaven and earth had far surpassed that of ordinary Tao-confirming holy emperors. Because of this, he could comprehend the law-breaking spirit technique, with half a bestowing lawless fruit. Furthermore, his sea of consciousness was strong enough to allow him to do this. With the refining plan in hand, Ningqing felt much more at ease. He looked up and glanced around again. The alchemists participating in the third round of the pill competition all looked a little worried. Even if they knew the function of the dustless branch, it wouldn't be easy to use it. Soon, Ningqing saw Nianyan shaking her head slightly at him from a distance under the altar. No, this wasn't to comfort him and not to worry. If she wanted to comfort him, she wouldn't shake her head at him twice in a row. Ningqing admired Nianyan's strength and her carefree attitude towards cultivation. Although he hadn't been in contact with Nianyan for a long time, Nianyan's voice transmission had helped him walk out of a dead end. One could say that Nianyan's calmness and understanding of Tao intent had completely integrated into heaven and earth. Was Nianyan trying to persuade him not to participate in the third round? Yes, others could only cultivate the dustless branch, and let it possess the laws of heaven and earth of the heaven essence heavenly pill to refine pills. However, he could use the dustless branch as a medium to arrange a space of laws of heaven and earth. What did this mean? It meant that his control over the laws of heaven and earth was far better than others. Why could he do this? Because of the mysterious yellow bead. Whether he guessed correctly or not, Ningqing understood Nianyan's meaning. He didn't know how Nianyan could see that he was different from others, but he had to be careful. No matter how good the wood-attributed supreme-grade God Spirit vein and the primordial Tao fruit were, they weren't as good as his life. If there are no questions, I will seal off the pill competition altar. The third round of the pill competition will begin soon. The third round of the competition will last for 6 months. During this period, the alchemy school will activate the Great Tao Perception Spirit Tao Array. Friends watching the pill competition can feel the Great Tao aura of the alchemy school while watching the pill competition. Kong Lianbua said loudly on the pill competition altar. Kong Lianbua's words attracted a burst of cheers. Many people came here to participate in the pill competition with the purpose of activating the Spirit Tao Array in case the alchemy school opened it. 6 months was not a long time for a cultivator. If one could feel the Great Tao aura under the alchemy school's Spirit Tao Array, it would be a dream come true. The alchemy school's Spirit Tao Array contained countless alchemy Tao aura. Once the Spirit Tao Array was activated, cultivators could not only feel their own Great Tao aura and Spirit Techniques Tao aura, but they could also feel other lore-related spirit techniques. Ning Cheng stood up and cupped his fists. May I ask Association Master Kong, can I come out early after I fail in the third round? Kong Lianbua shook his head. No, you have to wait for all the alchemists to finish the competition before you can come out. Ning Cheng made a sighing expression and said, I won't hide it from Association Master Kong. I once refined dozens of heavenly essence pills in a lawless space, but all of them failed without exception. Later, I also obtained a dustless branch, but I still failed. Therefore, I will definitely fail in the third round. Instead of wasting divine grasses, I might as well admit defeat in advance. After saying that, Ningqing cupped his fists towards Kong Lianbua again, and left the pill competition altar. Kong Lianbua didn't expect Ningqing to withdraw from the third round. Not only did Kong Lianbua not expect it, but the other alchemists and the audience also didn't expect it. Although Si Chen Qiutian knew that Ningqing had never refined dozens of heavenly essence pills, he didn't say anything and just showed a regretful expression. Wuxia, who initiated the pill competition, frowned slightly. He was optimistic about Ningqing, but his only regret was that Ningqing's cultivation was too low. The third question was indeed a bit difficult for him, so it wasn't difficult for him to understand Ningqing's withdrawal. Unfortunately, the third question wasn't set by him, but by his master. At that time, his master once said that if someone could refine a heaven and earth ephemeral pill that surpassed the 8 elemental laws, then he would set the question of refining the heavenly essence pill in lawless space. If not, then he would set the previous question. But now, someone managed to refine a heaven and earth ephemeral pill with 9 elemental laws. However, the alchemist didn't participate in the third round at all. In fact, asking a Tao Nourishment Sacred Emperor to cultivate a dustless branch that contained the laws of heaven and earth was a bit too much. Wuxia sighed. If he wanted to withdraw, then so be it. He would have to have a good chat with Ningqing later. Seeing Kong Lianbua look over, Wuxia nodded and said, Alchemist Ningqing has withdrawn. The competition will continue. Seeing that Kong Lianbua didn't stop him from withdrawing, Ningqing felt slightly relieved. It was better not to participate in such a purposeful pill competition. Fortunately, Nianyan reminded him. Without Nianyan, he would have definitely participated in the third round of refining the heavenly essence pill. He might have even succeeded in the end. Ningqing had just sat down when Nianyan's voice transmission rang in his ear. I'll be leaving first. If you have time, you can leave in an hour and then go to Shallow Cloud Manor. Ningqing didn't send a voice transmission back. He decided to believe in Nianyan. In any case, Nianyan didn't seem like the kind of person who would scheme against others. Chapter 1074. An hour later, when Ningqing looked back, Nianyan had already disappeared. He pulled Qianqian beside him, and the two walked out of the alchemy gate. At this moment, the third round of the pill competition had already begun, and the alchemy gate's spiritual Tao array had also opened. Many people were either paying attention to the third round of the pill competition, or comprehending the Tao charm within the spiritual Tao array. There were many people paying attention to Ningqing, but no one went to find Ningqing at this time. Since Ningqing left midway, then something must have happened. Wouldn't it leave a bad impression on others if they went to find him at this time? Ningqing had entered the top 10 of the 5 realms pill competition, so he would definitely come back after the competition ended. Qianqian naturally had no objection to Ning Cheng's decision. Since Ning Cheng said to leave, she immediately left. After Ning Cheng left the Great Alchemy City, he brought out an ordinary airship. The airship flew for just over an hour before Ning Cheng saw Nianyan waiting in front of him. He quickly stopped and felt a little puzzled. Didn't Nianyan say that she would wait for him at the Shallow Cloud Villa? Why was she waiting for him outside the Great Alchemy City? Nianyan nodded to Ning Cheng, put away her flight-type weapon, and brought the housekeeper to Ning Cheng's airship. This should be Shallow Cloud Villa's Yin Qian, right? Nianyan also greeted Qianqian beside Ning Cheng. Qianqian quickly bowed. Yes, this junior is Shallow Cloud Villa's Yin Qian. Many thanks for taking care of Shallow Cloud Villa, senior. Pill Master Ning, do you still have a pill competition jade card on you? After greeting Qianqian, Nianyan immediately asked Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded, took out the pill competition jade card and handed it to Nianyan. Nianyan took the jade card and looked at it for a while before saying, "This pill competition jade card has your mark on it. I suggest you seal it or put it in a place where it can't be sensed." Then will there be a mark on me? Ning Cheng quickly asked. Nianyan smiled. That won't be the case. The Five Realms pill competition is a very fair and just competition. There are no conspiracies. I've seen the Five Realms pill competition a few times. If I'm not wrong, the third question shouldn't be from Wuxia. If it was from Wuxia, you wouldn't have come here so easily. We'll talk about this later. Deal with this jade token first, then I'll take you to a safe place. Wait a moment. Ning Cheng finished and directly left the airship. His figure flashed a few times before disappearing. With his twin wings of the heavenly clouds, his speed was unparalleled for a short period of time. In just less than an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng once again landed on the airship. Nianyan smiled and said, "Did Pill Master Ning leave that jade card in the rest stop?" Ning Cheng nodded. "Yes, I did put the jade card in the rest stop." Whether it was the restriction on the jade card, or the fact that it was thrown into the mysterious yellow bead, it meant that he had done it deliberately, now that he had left the jade token in the rest stop. Even if others guessed that he did it on purpose, it didn't mean anything. Nianyan did not say anything else. Instead, she threw out a few array flags and said, "Put away the flying boat. I will take you to a place now." Ning Cheng put away his airship, while Nianyan took out a talisman. 2 breaths later, the talisman erupted with a light that seemed like space itself was collapsing. The few array flags that Nianyan had thrown out instantly turned into dust, and the 4 people wrapped in the space collapse of the talisman also disappeared. After landing on the ground, Ning Cheng found that he was in a verdant bamboo garden. Not far in front of him, there were a few simple bamboo houses. From the outside, one could see that the bamboo houses did not have any restrictions blocking them. The spirit qi in this place was extremely rich, making it a cultivation sanctuary. Ning Cheng felt sure that this was not the Shallow Cloud Villa. "Liangkai, take Sister Qianqian to the bamboo house next to us to rest for a while. I have something to discuss with Pill Master Ning." Nianyan finished, smiled at Ning Cheng, and walked towards one of the bamboo houses. Ning Cheng gave Qianqian a reassuring look before following Nianyan towards the bamboo house. After entering the bamboo house, an aura of returning to nature gushed out, giving Ning Cheng a refreshing feeling. This place was clearly inside the bamboo house, but Ning Cheng could not feel the bamboo walls around the house. It was as if he was in the boundless nature. Ning Cheng knew that this should have something to do with array formations, but he could not feel the slightest trace of the array Dao. Senior Sister Nianyan's array Dao is far stronger than mine. I'm really a frog at the bottom of a well. Ning Cheng sighed and cupped his fists. This level of array Dao was something that he could not even catch up to. This was to integrate one's Dao charm with the surrounding laws of heaven and earth, and then integrate it into the array Dao, allowing people to immerse themselves in it. Nianyan smiled and motioned for Ning Cheng to sit down before pouring a cup of tea for Ning Cheng. "Pill Master Ning, please have some tea." The entire action was a seamless whole, and it blended in with the surrounding natural aura without a trace. Ning Cheng took the spiritual tea and took a sip, then cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, Senior Sister Nianyan, for reminding me. Otherwise, I would still be refining the Heavenly Heaven pill on the Alchemy Dao Sex pill stage. Senior Sister Nianyan, don't call me Pill Master Ning, just call me Ning Cheng. Nianyan nodded and asked, Junior brother Ning Cheng, I feel an aura that surpasses the heavenly Dao from you, so your achievements in the future will definitely surpass mine. Ning Cheng did not speak. He understood that Nianyan should have guessed that he had a top-grade treasure. Otherwise, she would not have told him to withdraw from the competition. At the same time, Ning Cheng also felt a little worried. Would others feel the same aura from him as Nianyan? As if sensing Ning Cheng's worries, Nianyan said, Junior brother Ning, don't worry. In the Great Change realm, apart from me, it would be hard to find a second person who can feel the same aura from you. This has nothing to do with cultivation, only with yourself. Hearing this sentence, Ning Cheng felt a little relieved. Since Nianyan spoke like this, she should not harm him. Junior brother Ning, if I didn't remind you, do you think you could get the first place in this pill competition? Nianyan suddenly asked. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before answering honestly. If Senior Sister didn't stop me, I should be able to refine the Heavenly Heaven pill and have a high chance of getting the first place. Nianyan sighed. Sure enough, Junior brother Ning. What I want to tell you is that the real first place in this 5 realms pill competition might not necessarily be you. Ning Cheng asked doubtfully. I've seen the 10 people on the stage. Even Yu Guji is not necessarily much stronger than me. Nianyan smiled slightly. Yu Guji is not as good as you, that's for sure. If he didn't use the 5 elements chaos chi, he wouldn't be able to refine the Heaven and Earth epiphyllum pill. That real powerhouse did not enter the top 10, or rather he did not stand up and say that the pill he refined could enter the top 10. Ning Cheng's expression suddenly changed. Senior Sister Nianyan, who is that person? Ning Cheng also did not ask a question. Every alchemist on the pill competition altar had a transparent restriction around them. Although others could see, they were not allowed to use their spiritual consciousness to scan. How did Nianyan know that someone was stronger? I noticed that his name is Zhuchini, and he comes from the primordial beginning realm. If I'm not wrong, he should be a primordial essence pill saint. After Nianyan finished speaking, she did not wait for Ning Cheng to continue asking and took the initiative to explain. The reason why I know this is because I cultivated the Dao Eye. Ning Cheng's heart trembled. He naturally knew about the Dao Eye. It was an eye that could see the laws of heaven and earth. Although the Dao Eye was so powerful, very few people could cultivate it. The reason why the Dao Eye was so difficult to cultivate was because of the extremely harsh conditions and the countless treasures of heaven and earth. More importantly, there was no cultivation method to cultivate the Dao Eye. If one's eyes were compatible with cultivating the Dao Eye, then one must first create a cultivation method that matched one's Dao Eye. Even if Ning Cheng had the mysterious yellow bead and the mysterious yellow formless, he could not cultivate the Dao Eye. Firstly, he did not meet the conditions, and secondly, he could not create a Dao Eye cultivation method. Even if he met all the conditions, it would still take a lot of time and energy to cultivate the Dao Eye. Generally speaking, who would be willing to spend time cultivating the Dao Eye? Therefore, even if a few people cultivated the Dao Eye, they could only use it under the lowest level of the laws of heaven and earth. Nianyan could see everything clearly under the restrictions of the 5 realms pill competition, which showed how powerful she was. In addition, I'm also a primordial essence pill saint. Hearing this, Ning Cheng did not have any intention of comparing himself. This woman was much more talented than him. With the Dao Eye and being a primordial essence pill saint, it was no wonder that she could see so many things clearly. Ning Cheng was speechless. He had always been the one to beat others in cultivation and other aspects. Today he was finally hit by this Nianyan. A primordial essence holy emperor, a primordial essence pill saint, an array Dao master much stronger than him, and a Dao Eye cultivator. Ning Cheng suddenly remembered that the other party had used a talisman to teleport here. He immediately wanted to ask if the other party was also a top-notch talisman master. Nianyan did not care about Ning Cheng's look and continued. Zhuchini's cultivation of the ephemeral epiphyllum was not very good, but when he refined the heaven and earth epiphyllum pill, he successfully integrated 9 types of nomological Dao runes. When he was about to succeed, he failed to condense the pill. According to my experience in the pill Dao, he deliberately failed. As for the reason, I do not know. Ningqing took in a breath of cold air. He could refine the heaven and earth epiphyllum pill that condensed 9 types of nomological Dao runes mainly because his grand Dao of returning to one had integrated into his pill Dao. Ningqing knew very well what kind of cultivation method his grand Dao of returning to one was. Who was this Zhu Qinyi? Why was he so powerful? He and Lu Dongzi had a good friendship. If Lu Dongzi knew that there was an expert like Zhu Qinyi in the primordial world, he would have definitely told him. That's why I said that if Zhu Qinyi brought out all his skills to participate in the 5 Realms pill competition, it would be very difficult for you to beat him. It's not that your pill Dao is not as good as his, but that your cultivation is slightly weaker than his. Nianyan spoke very directly. Seeing Ningcheng remain silent, she continued. I saw that when you cultivated the ephemeral epiphyllum, the technique you used belonged to the top-notch cultivation method. Even the cultivation method I created is not as good as Duo E. Later, when I saw the dustless branch, I guessed. Ningqing thought that this Nianyan was really confident. He did not wait for Nianyan to finish speaking before cupping his fists and saying, Thank you, senior sister Nianyan, for the reminder. Ningqing is very grateful. Chapter 1075. Nianyan knew what Ningqing meant, and didn't continue talking about it. Instead, she said, I'm afraid that someone is looking for a supreme treasure with a top-notch cultivation technique inheritance. This person probably didn't do it on purpose. It shouldn't be Wuxia or someone from the 5 Great Dao Courts. So, you don't have to worry about anyone targeting you before the end of this competition. After this competition, if this person hears about it, I'm afraid he will try his best to find you. Ningqing fell silent. This person could set the topic of the 5 Realms pill competition, which meant that he was at least at the same level as Wuxia. In the face of such an expert, he probably wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Nianyan smiled faintly. Actually, this person might not really come looking for you. According to my guess, he's not in the Great Change Realm right now. You know who he is? Ningqing asked doubtfully. Nianyan nodded. His name is Ao Beijiang, and he's Wuxiao's master. I know that he left the Great Change Realm recently, so you can rest assured. Based on my guess, Ao Beijiang won't be back for a few years. So he didn't set the topic of refining the heavenly heaven pill on purpose. Even he himself didn't expect that there would be a result. Hearing this, Ningqing heaved a sigh of relief. Who knew where he would be after many years? Senior sister Nianyan, are you planning to leave Shallow Cloud Villas? Ningqing asked. After Ao Beijiang returned, if he wanted to investigate, he would definitely be able to find Nianyan. Therefore, he was a little worried about Nianyan. Nianyan nodded. That's right. Actually, when you came to Shallow Cloud Villas to find me, I planned to leave. You don't have to worry about me. I can leave the Great Change Realm at any time. I want to advance to primordial chaos. And I'm going to find a place to cross the decay of primordial chaos. Ningqing asked in shock, Senior Sister Nianyan, aren't you already a primordial chaos sacred emperor? Did I see it wrong? And what is the decay of primordial chaos? Nianyan sighed and said, I haven't broken through to the primordial chaos realm because of too many distractions. In fact, you're not wrong. My Dao perception has always been higher than my cultivation level. My Dao perception has long surpassed primordial chaos, but I haven't broken through yet. Anyone who sees me and feels my Dao rune aura will think that I am a primordial essence sacred emperor. In fact, if I wanted to, I could break through the primordial Dao realm and advance to the primordial chaos realm at any time. Plus, I can easily defeat ordinary primordial chaos sacred emperors. According to most people's standards, I'm also a primordial chaos sacred emperor. Ningqing did not speak anymore, as Nianyan was right. He could sense the aura of many primordial chaos experts, but they were not necessarily stronger than Nianyan. Because of my strength, I admit that I'm a primordial chaos divine emperor under normal circumstances. Actually, I know very well that a primordial chaos sacred emperor, who doesn't experience primordial chaos decay, can never be called a primordial chaos expert. Ningqing stood up and bowed to Nianyan. Senior apprentice Sister Nianyan, please enlighten me. Because I come from the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth laws are broken. Although there are some primordial chaos holy emperors, there's no such thing as primordial chaos decay. Nianyan said softly. Out of the 5 great realms, only the Great Change Realm has complete heaven-earth laws. Therefore, the sacred emperors that come from the Great Change Realm are stronger than those of the same level. Cultivators defy the heavens, and when they advance in low-level starry sky realms, they would face the heavenly Tao Law lightning tribulation. Once one reached the Tao, there would be a celestial decay. Chaotic blight was only the first of the heavens' blights. After stepping into the primordial chaos realm and experiencing the decline of the world, one would become a true expert of the world. Only then would one have the chance to reach the 3rd step of the Tao-seeking realm. The so-called decline was the exhaustion of one's mind, the withering of one's flesh and bones, the disorder of one's Tao aura, and the disappearance of one's divine abilities. If you can't survive this, the primordial chaos realm will be nothing but an illusion. In the worst case, your soul will be destroyed, and in the worst case, your primordial spirit will be blurred. Ningcheng was secretly shocked. He suddenly remembered Li Feng of the mysterious crossing ancient clan. Did that guy look like this because he was crossing his first blight? Primordial chaos divine emperors that haven't experienced the first heaven's blight are called pseudo-primordial chaos divine emperors. This was the highest achievement a primordial chaos expert could achieve in his lifetime. It was impossible for him to step into a higher level. It was very difficult for primordial chaos sacred emperors to sense the decline of primordial chaos in this broken plane. Therefore, even late-stage primordial chaos cultivators are mostly pseudo-primordial chaos cultivators. Nianyan's tone was very calm. She did not care about experiencing the first primordial chaos's blight. Senior Sister Nianyan, what is Mu Wuxiao's cultivation level? Did he not experience the first primordial chaos's blight? When I first saw him, I always suspected that he was a Tao integration expert. Ningqing thought of Mu Wuxiao's vast and boundless aura, and suspected that he might even be a Tao integration expert. Nianyan smiled slightly. Mu Wuxiao's master is a top-notch expert. I guess he should have experienced the first heaven's blight long ago. As for Tao integration, he is not one. No Tao integration experts participated in this 5 realms pill competition. Tao confirmation has 3 steps, and Tao integration is the 2nd step. To become a true Tao integration expert, one must experience the 2nd Tao integration. What's the 3rd step of Tao confirmation? Ningqing blurted out. He knew from many people that Tao confirmation had 3 steps. Tao integration was only the highest realm in the Great Essence Realm. The highest realm in the Great Change Realm was obviously not Tao integration. Nianyan sighed again. In the 5 grand realms, I'm afraid that the highest realm that can be reached is Tao integration. Maybe some people have surpassed Tao integration, but these people have never appeared. I have been deducing the 3rd step of Tao confirmation, but I have not come to any conclusion. I have read countless ancient books in the Great Change Realm over the years, but there is no higher realm. The reason I brought you here today is actually for the 3rd step of Tao validation. Ningcheng spoke with a cautious tone. Senior apprentice Sister Nianyan, please instruct me. He admired Nianyan's monstrous talent and wisdom. If he could help, he would not refuse. Nianyan bowed to Ningcheng and said, I deduced the 3rd step of Tao confirmation, which is to first create a world. The laws of this world must be higher than the laws of the 5 grand realms. I can't create this world, but I know that there are some good fortune treasures in the universe. These good fortune treasures not only have top-notch good fortune cultivation methods, but they also have their own good fortune world. When Nianyan said this, Ningcheng understood. Senior apprentice Sister Nianyan, do you want to enter the good fortune world, and then comprehend the good fortune world's laws? To deduce the 3rd step of Tao confirmation? Nianyan nodded and looked at Ningcheng. Yes, That's what I think. I have a world. If senior apprentice sister Nianyan doesn't mind, you can go to my world to have a look. Ningcheng said in a deep voice. He understood that Nianyan already knew that he had a good fortune world. With Nianyan's cultivation, even if she didn't discuss it with him and forcibly seized it, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Many thanks, junior apprentice brother Ning. Nianyan said calmly. Ningcheng also secretly appreciated Nianyan's open-mindedness. If he didn't have good intentions, as long as Nianyan entered his mysterious yellow bead, even if Nianyan was a primordial essence holy emperor, he would have a way to suppress her. However, Nianyan didn't seem to consider this at all. Senior apprentice sister Nianyan, please open your mind. As Ningcheng spoke, he had already entered the mysterious yellow bead with Nianyan, who had opened her mind. Nianyan stood in the vast and boundless Xianhuang world, and was extremely shocked. This was a world with higher laws than the Great Change Realm. Even if this world wasn't perfect yet, the clear laws had allowed her to understand a lot of Dao charm that she couldn't understand before. Ningcheng didn't disturb Nianyan. He deliberately went to see Yanji, who had been cultivating in seclusion. Yanji was still in seclusion, but Ningcheng could feel that Yanji's cultivation had improved very quickly from her aura. Not knowing how long it took, Nianyan came to Ningcheng's side. Junior apprentice brother Ning, I didn't expect you to perfect the good fortune mysterious yellow bead to this degree. Ningcheng felt very satisfied in his heart. Since he obtained the mysterious yellow bead, the mysterious yellow bead had been continuously perfected. Where did you get that mulberry tree from? Nianyan pointed to a giant lush tree in the distance and asked, Is that mulberry tree? Ningcheng asked in surprise. Nianyan nodded. Yes, this is one of the top 10 spiritual roots, the mulberry tree. Cultivating under this tree, one's mind would be at peace, and one's comprehension of Tao intent would be faster. When experiencing the decline of heaven and earth, this tree can even protect one's mind. Moreover, under the mulberry tree, it is especially suitable for women to cultivate. You can say that this tree is a priceless treasure. Ningcheng took in a deep breath. He didn't expect the tree and the mysterious yellow bead to be so precious. After a while, Ningcheng said, I didn't know that this tree was called mulberry tree. When I obtained the mysterious yellow bead, this tree was already inside it. It was just that this tree was withered at first. Later, I gradually perfected the mysterious yellow bead, and this tree also came to life on its own. Nianyan understood that this tree and the mysterious yellow bead must have been left behind by the previous owner. But for some unknown reason, the previous owner had fallen. Not only did Ningcheng obtain the mysterious yellow bead, but even the mulberry tree fell into Ningcheng's hands. Thank you, junior apprentice brother Ning. I gained a lot in the mysterious yellow bead. I saw a woman here, who had taken the 6-in soul pill, but has not woken up until now. Ningcheng knew that Nianyan was talking about Sun Hanrui, so he quickly explained, she is a friend of mine. When she was in a low-level interface, her spirit soul had shattered, leaving only her corporeal body. It was not until a few years ago that I gave her a 6-in soul pill, but I don't know why, but she still hasn't woken up. Nianyan gave an end sound. Junior apprentice brother Ning, if you believe me, then give her to me. I know the reason, and I can even save her. Ningcheng and Nianyan had known each other for a long time, and did not doubt Nianyan at all. He also believed that Nianyan would not deceive him about this kind of thing, so he quickly bowed and thanked her. Ningcheng thanked senior apprentice sister Nianyan on behalf of junior apprentice sister Hanrui. Nianyan nodded, raised her hand, and swept away Sun Hanrui along with the array formation restrictions around her, before saying, Let's go out. The two returned to the bamboo house, and Nianyan walked out of the door of the bamboo house, before turning to Ningcheng and speaking. Junior apprentice brother Ning, in the future, if you can reach the 3rd step of the Grand Tao, and if you don't rely too much on the mysterious yellow bead, your achievements would be even greater. In addition, my bamboo house also has some of my insights into the Tao of pills and the Tao of arrays, as well as my cultivation. If junior apprentice brother Ning is interested, you can refer to them. This bamboo forest will be given to junior apprentice brother Ning. I'm leaving now, Let's meet again in the future. Watching Nianyan leave with Liang Kai on a flight-type weapon, Ningqing suddenly felt a sense of loss in his heart. Chapter 1076. Big Brother Ning. What should we do now? Qianqian came over and asked. There are still 6 months before the third round of the 5 Realms Pill competition. We'll wait here for a day and head to the underground abyss a day later. Ningqing made up his mind after a little thought. Nianyan didn't know when Ao Beijiang would return. Ao Beijiang might come back after a few years, or he might come back tomorrow. He had to do everything he could before Ao Beijiang came back. Okay. Qianqian didn't ask why Ningqing wanted to wait here for a day. She believed that Ningqing had his own reasons. Ningqing did have his own reasons. Nianyan was the most talented woman he had ever seen since he started cultivating. It seemed that there was nothing she didn't know. Ningqing naturally didn't want to miss the handwritten notes left by such a powerhouse in the bamboo house. Returning to the bamboo house, Ningqing saw that there were a few things on the bamboo platform that he had left behind. When Ningqing came closer, he saw that there were 2 books and a talisman, along with a jade strip. Ningqing immediately picked up the jade strip and swept his spiritual consciousness inside. A clear locational map appeared in his spiritual consciousness. Under this locational map, there was also a message from Nianyan, junior apprentice brother Ningqing. This jade strip's locational map points to this place. I've arranged an extremely concealing array formation in this bamboo forest. Without this jade strip, ordinary people shouldn't be able to find this place. However, Ao Beijiang is not an ordinary person, so I also left a talisman. If Ao Beijiang can find this place, this talisman can help you leave the Great Change Realm. In the universe, you're not the only one with a good fortune treasure. It's not impossible for someone with a good fortune treasure to fall in the end. I've left 2 books here. One is my experience in alchemy and array Dao, and the other is my cultivation experience. I hope it can help you, Nianyan. Ningqing picked up the book and opened it. Many ideas that he had never thought of appeared in the book, letting Ningqing know that the value of these 2 books definitely surpassed many top-grade treasures. Scorched Tree Temple. Although it was called a temple, Ningqing actually saw an ancient tree. Ningqing put away the time wheel and stood in front of this ancient tree with Qianqian. Apart from the mysterious fairy ancient clan's growth rings, he couldn't find anything comparable to this tree. This tree stretched for tens of thousands of miles and had countless caves on its surface. Even Ningqing's spiritual consciousness could not sweep deeper into these tree holes. The annual ring was a transparent tree, and one's divine sense couldn't penetrate it. This tree was withered. To be exact, this tree was already dead. Regardless of whether it was the branches or the trunk, they were all emitting a deathly aura and gray aura. There was not the slightest hint of green and vitality. I heard that the location of this scorched tree was originally a temple, and the scorched tree was just a tree behind the temple. Later, the scorched tree grew bigger and bigger, and finally swallowed up the temple. However, the scorched tree did not continue to grow because its roots were contaminated by the monsters in the underground abyss and eventually withered. There are countless tree holes around this scorched tree, and we can enter all of them. Qianqian looked at the huge ancient tree in front of her and sighed. Ningqing replied, "Are these tree holes the entrance to the underground abyss?" Qianqian nodded. "Yes, in the beginning, we all entered the trial from here." After a pause, Qianqian hesitated before speaking. That Yuanji said that when the monsters in the underground abyss erupted, the Grand Change Realm's powerhouses sealed off the deeper parts of the underground abyss. I don't see anyone nearby, and I don't know if we will be stopped if we go in. Although Ningqing's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate deeper, he could clearly see that these tree holes were indeed intertwined with each other. Each tree hole looked like a twisted staircase that extended deep into the ground. Further down, Ningqing's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate any deeper. "Come on, let's go in first. There are no restrictions on the outside, so we should be able to go in." After Ningqing confirmed that there wasn't too much danger, he greeted Qianqian and took the initiative to walk towards the giant tree. He had also heard Yuanji's words. Regardless of whether there were restrictions or not, Ningqing intended to go in and have a look. As Ningqing said, he and Qianqian did not encounter any obstacles and easily entered one of the tree holes. A gloomy aura came over, which made Ningqing a little uncomfortable. He had been to the underworld and felt the yin qi aura of the underworld. However, the yin qi in the underworld was completely different from the gloomy yin qi here. The stairs in the tree hole seemed endless, and from these irregular stairs, Ningqing could see that these stairs were slowly formed by people who came later. Around these stairs were intertwined thick tree roots, which looked like the internal blood vessels of the human body. Originally, as soon as we entered this place, there were already demonic creatures. Now that we've been walking for so long, no demonic creatures have come out. I don't know if it's because a powerhouse sealed the place below. Qianqian spoke to Ningqing with a sound transmission. Ningqing responded casually. His voice wasn't loud, but under this tree hole, it felt as if it had been amplified 100 times, and the echoes were few and far between. Qianqian quickly spoke up. This is still under the tree roots. Once there is no echo, it means that we have already entered the range of the underground abyss. We can only walk slowly in this place. If we walk too fast, we might end up torn apart by tiny spatial cracks. There are spatial cracks under these tree roots? Ningqing asked in amazement. A tree with a spatial crack under it. What kind of tree was it? Qianqian gave an sound. Yes, although the magic crystals of the underground demonic creatures are precious, those spatial cracks are also very powerful. If one is not careful, one can fall under it and become nutrients for the scorched tree. Many people who came here never went out again. It was also a stroke of luck that I survived that time. Hearing about becoming nutrients for the tree, Ningqing's heart moved slightly. However, he didn't feel any vitality from this tree. If he felt the vitality of this tree, he would have suspected that those spatial cracks were generated by this tree. After a few hours, a cobweb-like ripple appeared in front of Ningqing and Qianqian. Ningqing then stopped. Through this spatial ripple, we will enter the range of the underground abyss. This spatial ripple is similar to a teleportation array. It doesn't cause any harm, and when you come back it won't move. It looks like UNG lied to us. This place isn't sealed. Qianqian pointed to the cobweb-like spatial ripple in front of them. She didn't say a word. Since it wasn't sealed, why didn't they see anyone until now? Ningqing nodded. I understand. It turns out that the underground abyss is another world, not the Grand Change Realm at all. It's just adjacent to the Grand Change Realm. This cobweb should be a boundary barrier. To be honest, this was the first time Ningqing had seen such a thin boundary barrier. Generally, if he wanted to go from one world to another, he would find himself separated by an endless void. If he was not careful, he would get lost in the void. Hearing Ningqing's words, Qianqian spoke up. Many people think that the underground abyss isn't the Grand Change Realm. I also think so. It's just that I always feel that the two worlds are separated by something a bit strange. Ningqing showed a slight smile. It's normal. Let's go in and talk. Ningqing passed through this spatial ripple, and it felt like a breeze blowing through him. He didn't feel any spatial teleportation or collapse. No wonder Qianqian felt that this place didn't feel like two worlds. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept back, but no matter how much his spiritual consciousness penetrated, it couldn't pass through the spatial ripple. This is already within the scope of the underground abyss. When I came here before, there were people everywhere. I didn't expect that we wouldn't meet a single person until now. Qianqian said with a sigh. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept out, but there wasn't any light around. Everything under his feet was black, and it felt like a boulder. Occasionally, some of the bones emitted a fluorescent light, making people feel the darkness here. The gloomy aura grew even stronger. Just as Qianqian said, within the range of his spiritual consciousness, he didn't see a single living person, nor a single demonic creature. Can you remember the way? Ningqing asked Qianqian beside him. Qianqian gave an sound. I remember. I've been to this underground abyss many times. Big brother Ning, follow me. After Qianqian finished, she identified a direction and quickly moved forward. After entering this place, Qianqian seemed to become even more excited and started moving faster and faster. Ningcheng's cultivation was much higher than Qianqian's. Therefore, no matter how fast Qianqian moved, it wouldn't affect him. After Qianqian walked for more than half an hour, Ningcheng's void cold light spear suddenly appeared in his hand. At the same time, he raised his hand and fired a shot at Qianqian's side. A shrill scream rang out, and a white crystal with a hint of gray fell to the ground. Demonic creature? Qianqian stopped and spoke up in shame. Big brother Ning, my cultivation has greatly decreased, and I was anxious about big sister Xi'er. I didn't even notice the demonic creature's sneak attack. Ningcheng waved his hand and interrupted Qianqian's words. He reached out and grabbed the white crystal with a hint of gray from the ground and asked, Qianqian, is this a demonic crystal? Qianqian nodded. Well, this is a demonic crystal. This demonic crystal contains all kinds of clear aura of the laws of heaven and earth. It's most suitable for cultivators to comprehend the Tao charm. Ningcheng frowned slightly, but this demonic crystal isn't pure. I can feel a lot of messy aura in it. It's not suitable for cultivation. Qianqian shook her head. I don't know what's going on. The demonic crystals that appeared in the past were very pure. These demonic crystals are crystal clear. And apart from the aura of the laws of heaven and earth, they don't have any impurities. Is the body of a demonic creature made up of all kinds of Tao charm? Apart from the demonic crystal, does it have any substance? Ningcheng asked again. He had seen a dark shadow sneak attack Qianqian just now. After he killed the dark shadow, only this demonic crystal remained. Qianqian spoke up with certainty. No, demonic creatures are definitely not made up of Tao charm. Although their demonic crystals contain the Tao charm laws of heaven and earth, I don't know what they are made up of. As for what they are made of, I don't know either. I only know that some very powerful monsters have physical bodies. As soon as Qianqian spoke up to hear, she felt a burst of fluctuations in front of her. The space around her and Ningcheng also began to distort. Big brother Ning, the reason why I could see big sister Xi'er last time was because of the spatial fluctuations of this underground abyss that swept me away. Not only did Qianqian not panic, but she also sped up her speech. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.